the office. So
I don't know if it's controversial. If it's just realistic.
yeah, it's nonconformist, which I expect. I do expect of you, so I can get behind that for sure. But yeah, here we are, episode 120. We're getting close to the 12 episode limit that I've set for this season. So only about a
Can we
month.
even with so much has happened?
Oh, I mean,
Are we allowed?
yeah. I mean, we're about to. Let's say we're about about a month more of this, and then we'll take our usual break. And yeah, sports happening.
Oh, that's right. We're in November.
Yeah, man, it's
Wow.
November,
I
man.
can't with it. Listen, man. I'm not baked or
Year is
anything like
over.
that. I'm just old.
Year
You
is
know,
over, man. Another year has passed by. We're almost done. You can go to Prani's Hockey World and get the stuff, from last year while you still can before it all becomes 2021 stuff. You can get buy that stuff, man. They got the lowest prices, the biggest selection of closeout and prior year products. Get your hockey gear. There's some hockey stuff happening. I can talk a little hockey today. Hockey stuff did happen over the last week, and we got to address it because we addressed it last time. But we'll get into that with the whole Chicago Blackhawks thing. NBA's rolling along. Jimmy Butler has titillated me quite so, and I'm very
yeah,
happy.
he's not even teasing, man.
Yeah.
He's like Jimmy Butler for us, and I'm just gonna start with this as since Andrew's not here, so I can go to
Yeah.
TVMA to a degree.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Butler has been like those late night texts. You know those late night texts, folks. Those late night texts, y'all haven't met up yet, but you know it's gonna go down a bit. And then y'all just skip dinner. That's what Jimmy Butler has done this season. Jimmy Butler has been like, nope. And I'm like, what?
Ugh, the Miami Heat.
What's this?
Oof, the
Oh,
Miami
so good.
Heat.
So good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So we'll get into that. The Braves won the World Series, so it's the darkest timeline for me with
Yay!
regards to being a baseball fan. But
Second best timeline for me.
yeah. I guess the baseball
Astros
gods.
are frauds.
Yeah. Oh no, they're complete frauds. This actually adds more to the narrative that they could not win a World Series without
Stop
cheating.
cheating.
So because this is
Love it.
their second attempt at getting another one, and they couldn't do it. So and even in 2019, the Nationals were switching up their signs like crazy, just to avoid Houston stealing them. So we could even say that even if they won in 2019, we don't even know if that would have been legitimate. So there's.
I mean, I would say anything that has those touchings of that team and Alex Cora
Mm,
is not legitimate. But yet, for some reason, Rob Manfred was just as good as his investigatory powers as Urban Meyer is in scouting who he hires in regards to backgrounding whether or not anything happened to it. Because we know a Red Sox team that was ass with was it Bobby Valentine? Yeah, I think
yeah,
so.
yeah. That
As
was
their manager,
that was
and
2012.
so
Yeah.
I'm all for the proponent of worst to first. I am not of the proponent of worst to World Series champion. No matter whom you have on your team,
Mm-hmm.
and I just gotta take that dig. I just gotta take that dig and be like, suck it. Suck
Mm.
it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're at. We're 180 grand in law school. I have a JD. I have it's the equivalent of a master's, whatever you want to call it, master's jurisprudence. I have bachelor's, I have associates, and I'm going to come down to that argument where like, suck it, MLB. The teams that you wanted to win didn't win. Your
Yep.
investigator is faulty, and everybody's a fraud. Suck it long and
Mm-hmm.
suck it hard.
Oh yeah. And we might even get a player strike, or a lockout.
Good. Even better. Even better. Because you know what?
I have a
Y'all gonna
feeling we will
pay
get it though.
them
I have a feeling
that
it's gonna
happen
happen. Yeah.
because y'all gonna pay them minor leaguers a lot more when you want to. Because now everybody's been spoiled, Francisco. They go a year without real sports, right? It
Mm-hmm.
was condensed to baseball. Then you give it back to them, and I think the viewership was probably higher this year, obviously in comparative years. And now you do not have it per se if you take out your major players, but people are so spoiled at home, not in a bad way, but they're spoiled at their home to want to like proceed with certain things and watch certain things that they'll watch your crappy, your scrubs. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying. Because what's the whole point is you're gonna be resetting the market. And unlike TLC, where a scrub is a guy who thinks he's fly is also known as a busta, that does not apply in the MLB world. The MLB world goes like, oh, a scrub is a guy who's going to help my viewership.
Mm.
But that's for a different conversation. But I will chime in on that logic
Oh
for a
yeah.
second.
Well, let's chime in on this. So this is a conversation. Well, whatever. This is our
It's
sports show.
Charles
But
and Francisco.
yeah, this is
So,
us. All right. Yeah, we were just talking on the group chat, and then we were just making fun of the whole Chris Pratt thing, and he's voicing pretty much every character. It's a meme. It's been a meme lately since he was announced as the voice of the new voice of Garfield, which doesn't make any sense. But
I mean, had to be. We spoke of The Office. It should have just been the guy who voices Stanley at The Office, right? It's not a big, sexy name.
oh, oh, that would have been awesome.
I
That,
don't.
yeah, yeah.
How do you like your Garfield? You know, that's how the questions I
Yeah,
ask myself.
you know, Bill Murray did it last time. He didn't do a bad job. You know that made
The
sense
movies are
too.
trash.
Yes, yeah. Oh no, he was complete. I mean, he mentioned it in Zombieland.
Do you have any regrets, Garfield? But
Yeah,
Chris Pratt is the sexy stud now.
I don't know what his voice acting chops are. He was in the Lego Movie, right? And he was in that Pixar
Yeah,
thing. I don't even know.
yeah.
I didn't even watch that.
Onward
Was
is
it?
the
Yeah,
Pixar.
Onward. I didn't even watch it, so I don't even know if he sounds just like Chris Pratt, but trying to sound like a teenager or whatever the hell.
Well, I could kind of get Mario to a degree, because he has that very kind of like optimistic kind of voice acting from the Lego Movie.
Hmm.
I, I, look, I'd rather
But
have him that
I
than
don't
any
want him
kind
to
of.
sound the same as what was the guy's name in the Lego Movie? Ethan, or I have no idea. Some generic name. I mean, that was the whole thing. It was a generic guy. So like,
Well, he doesn't have a very distinguishable voice, though. That's the thing we have to understand. He sounds like the everyman with a voice, and that, as someone who has that kind of voice too, that's life. I feel we are stuck with it, even though some people tell me my voice is meant for radio. Maybe that's why we're doing a podcast, right?
yeah. Well,
But it's not. It's not like if you put Chris Pratt's voice and then Bob's voice, I would know the difference. Whereas Sean Benjamin,
oh yeah, yeah.
is so different, and you just know.
Mhm.
You just know.
Yeah.
And that's just the consequences of sometimes how you are. But I can deal with the Mario hyper personality and optimism. Oh no, that I can get behind that, sure.
Yeah.
But Garfield, who is basically, I would feel like my spirit animal, except I don't really care about lasagna. It's too heavy. Controversial take: lasagna, too heavy. Like, what do we? It's
I haven't. I will say this. I love lasagna, but I haven't. I haven't
ever
had
gone
it
to an Italian
in-
restaurant and be like lasagna?
I mean, I don't go to Italian restaurants much. I feel like, I don't know. Italian seems like it's way too cliche to go to. Like if you're gonna go out on a date or whatever, let's go to an Italian restaurant. I feel like it's way too cliche. I try and look out for other places. We'll try the Latino place. We'll try the Asian fusion place. But I don't know. I've fallen out of favor. And the carbs. The carbs kind of do it for me. Like I struggle enough with my weight anyways that I can't justify eating a lasagna, to be
What
honest.
gets me a little bit with it, is the fact with lasagna too and this is a problem. It's the only kind of base food I think I've had that I can have it at a restaurant, I can have it homemade from scratch, and I can have it from Stouffer's and not taste a quality difference.
Yeah.
And that's concerning. I think that is legitimately concerning in my opinion.
I think it's because
Stouffer stuff tastes fine.
It's the way that I've never made a lasagna myself, so it's one of the things I have not yet challenged myself to do, but I just don't feel like doing it. But I think it's the way that you prepare lasagna, because I mean, you prepare lasagna, and I would say you prepare it, and it's kind of made to be stored, right? It's made to be eaten over the course of like a week or something like that. Because
controversial take, is lasagna a pie?
I mean, I wouldn't say so. It doesn't have a crust. It doesn't. I've never heard anybody.
It feels like it does if it's pan. The way it sticks to the pan, I'm pushing it like Larry from or Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm when he's trying to open up the impenetrable scissors. Like that's how it feels.
Okay. No, that's not a pie. I've never heard anybody like mention that lasagna has a crust. I think you need a crust in order to be considered a pie. That's how I feel. But I think it's the way lasagna is prepared. So it's made to be stored. So that's why it's made to be eaten over the course of not just one sitting, but various
But 2,
sittings.
3 depressing
Exactly.
sittings where
Exactly.
you just have some stain on your
So
shirt.
so like you having it on day 1 piping fresh will feel the same on day 6 when you got to eat it before it goes bad, you know?
It is the only food I've had where leftovers it tastes fundamentally the same than it would have served.
Exactly. So it just may be the style, and I'm not sure, but
I
that's how
only
I
can
feel.
notice the difference if you do more ricotta cheese versus more beef. And
Hmm.
I think my stomach likes me if I take more beef than ricotta cheese, but I think it tastes more flavorful with ricotta cheese.
You have to.
You know?
It has to be. It's and many lasagnas don't strike the perfect balance of either or. You know, some are more cheesy, some are more meaty, but there's very few that I believe that have struck a perfect balance. I mean, my mom hasn't made lasagna in forever, but I mean, I loved it when she made it, of course. But I've never found a very foul lasagna. I mean, you put onions in it, of course, I'm gonna fucking hate it. But
What? Who puts onions in a
I don't
lasagna?
know.
I have never,
Some people.
30,
I
32
mean, it depends on
years.
the sauce. It depends on the tomato sauce. Some people might actually stick onions inside the tomato sauce. So,
Okay, that's weird.
you know that it just depends on how you prepare a tomato sauce. But
That's
yeah,
not even weird. It's abnormal.
yeah.
That's a different kind of thing.
But oh yeah, yeah. So we were talking about Chris Pratt. We got him.
Chris Pratt, yeah, Jesus,
So
we went down that.
so like let me put that thing on
He's
silent.
Garfield.
Yeah, he's Garfield, and we're like, and I sent out a tweet on our Twitter, and I was like, from here on out, the cage with Charles becomes the cage with Chris Pratt, and then got us thinking, who would we have play ourselves if we were to have a Sports Goofs movie or TV show? Who would be the perfect actor or actress? Who knows? To play as yourself, or who would you at least want to play that role that you think could do that role justice?
Yeah, mine was easy, super easy.
Yeah. What is it?
So, and this is because someone pointed out to me because this actor on a particular show has had many variations of his body type, and they said, like, you look like this guy from like the first 3, 4 seasons, and I saw it, and now I slick. So you knew me before I used to be Mr. Slickback Lawyer. My hair was just really front down, but then when I started slicking my hair back professionally, then I kind of saw it more, and then the voice is kind of the same ish to a degree. I would say we both kind of have that mid tone voice, but Rob McKinney, who's Mac in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, it is straight up me. Like, shave his facial hair. And we're
Yeah.
talking seasons 1 through 5 Mac, not
Yeah.
Fat Mac, though it's debatable when I was big boy. If I was big beefy boy with muscle, it was a different kind of fat boy. You can't do Hot Mac now because Hot Mac's he's just too in shape. Rob McKinney, like, I love him for his dedication for his roles
Yeah.
that he does because he'll do when he got bored. Like, he was like, how can I become like the worst piece of crap ever when he got fat? But
Yeah.
then when he got like ripped, he's like, all right. And finally enough, the weight loss I have had, oh damn, I died. I did have, it was part of it from what he did his training.
What's the game of the day? What's the game of the day?
Captain Toad.
Oh, okay.
Captain Toad
Yeah,
Treasure Tracker.
yeah.
It's like the best. It really is the best game to play for the show because I don't really need to listen to the music. There is no story, and
Yeah.
I would say Diablo 3 was up there to a degree because of the mindlessness. But it was kind of tough when I was hearing the archive radio stuff. But Treasure Tracker is like perfect for this kind of show. But Rob McKinney, because of a little bit of look and likeness, especially if you shaved his facial hair in seasons 1 through 3, the voice is kind of there too. And like I think,
and the personality works. I mean, there's the appreciation for sports and wrestling there.
yeah, but he's also a little bit incredulous. And here's a hot debate. Mac, out of all of them, is not the worst human. Because some
No.
people would say that Mac is, or some would say like Charlie is not the worst human. Charlie, for all intents and purposes, is a piece of crap. Charlie is like a terrible person, but it only comes out in spurts.
I like how you've mentioned Always Sunny because I've been watching a lot of Always Sunny YouTube videos that analyze the show. There's some theories and stuff like that as to like why Charlie's gotten dumber over the course of the show. But of course, the whole point of the show for all of them, it's been the way since they started it, was to just like their characters become more and more deteriorated, more and more extreme versions of themselves to the point where it's ridiculous compared to I mean, it was basically a
Mac's the
commentary.
only one that's had growth, which is the weirdest thing.
Well, that was the point because it was like, oh, on the other shows like Friends and whatever, How I Met Your Mother and all that stuff, like the characters improve or they look better, their lives get better. Whereas Always Sunny was always the opposite, you know. And of course, Dennis is a serial killer. Like
Allegedly.
allegedly, yes. And Frank's Danny DeVito's character is great. I mean, the whole show is great. I mean, I love the show. I adore the show. It's probably my now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably my my favorite comedy on TV ever. Like I like Seinfeld and all that
I
stuff,
appreciate its longevity.
but
Seinfeld's tough.
yeah, I appreciate I like Seinfeld and stuff, but I like the absurdity of Always Sunny. I like how they go there, you know, and yeah, and my non-sponsor may actually stir some controversy too for this week, but and
It's
going in
always
that same
sunny.
vein.
It's always sunny makes you laugh at things that you know you shouldn't be laughing at,
Of course,
and
that's the beauty of
you
it.
do.
That's the beauty of
And
it.
like
My
like
my
the,
my
the the pull episode. That's all I keep at. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I shouldn't laugh at that. I laughed hard at that the minute Danny DeVito went down that slide for two reasons. Because of his ha 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 ha, and the fact that Charlie played him was even better because Charlie usually never plays Frank like that. And then also the end results of when he got into the pool and things that the people were saying.
my dad, like I got my dad to love the show. Like it's so ridiculous.
I would imagine that's hard with his kind of background.
No, my dad. I mean, my dad liked The Office and all that stuff, but I'm like, I wanted him to like the show, and I chose one episode in particular to introduce him. It was the one where they go out to
Which
dinner.
episode?
They go out to dinner. The gang goes out to dinner at the fancy restaurant, and Mac and Charlie.
But there's three.
Yeah, or there's the one where Mac and Dennis are having their like monthly dinner at the fancy Italian
And they're
restaurant.
staring at each other, right?
Speaking of Italian restaurants, and then Frank and Charlie had their own little dinner, and then Dee was there by herself with the Groupon or
Yes.
something like that.
That episode is funny.
Yeah, that was the one that I got to introduce him to the show.
I thought you meant the pie episode.
No, not that one, not that one. No, I chose one specifically. I'm like, it's not that raunchy, but it perfectly encapsulates the gang. So that was the one that I chose.
See, if I had to start my parent, like my parents would hate it. My father, I don't know if he would laugh at it. My mother would probably. I don't know. They're weird because they'll laugh at the weird stuff and then they'll won't laugh at the weird stuff. But I would have to do the Maureen Ponderosa wedding. I think that's good for anybody who doesn't really know what the show's about to see because it is the most obtuse episode to a casual viewer.
Yeah.
And very vague. But anybody who's watched the show, there's so much that gets resolved in a single episode that has spanned for 5 seasons of issues because you have the Oil brothers and their weird romantic relationship. You have Dennis and his problem with Maureen. You have how for some reason Frank just can't let it go. You know what I mean? He just can't let Dennis do his own thing, succeed, and for somebody who that's his child, he just can't let it be. And then you have Charlie who does nothing, but then you also have the weird humor because if anybody who's watched the show knows that Ryan to me is the most hilarious character. When he just comes what are you guys doing here? And he's just dancing. And I've watched the bloopers of Jimmy, I don't know his last name, and what happens there and how they have to cut laughing because of how he goes off the script. And then it's just all kinds of good. But I think because I remember trying to watch Sunny when I was younger and I couldn't do it because I was this is stupid. And then I retried it at 22. I'm I'm about this. And the episode that really I think hooked me on is when it goes back to whom the best family in the business, the Poyles, when they try to rob the place. And
that's a good one.
thinks the only way.
Hold him hostage. Yeah, that was the best one. That was a good one.
The only way to save everybody is for Des to seduce the sister. And then it just turns out that she played them all. And I'm just I can't with how ludicrous that is. Because I think it's just so absurd. But that really, Dennis is the most interesting character because you should hate Dennis with every bone in your body. Really on paper. But when he goes and says, I'm going to do this. And then you're yeah. And then she just plays him. And then he comes in drenched in milk. Remember, he's like, I see how you've been looking at me. I can't contain laughter. So if I had to do a starter from like season 2, it's that. And then there's the whole the foils going like foil. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know, but Ryan stabs somebody, and he just stabs him. And you're just like, but so that's my pick, Rob McKinney.
Okay.
Like looks and likeness. He's not white Hispanic, but yet when you think about me, there's nothing. The only thing that's Hispanic about me, aside from my love of Spanish food and Spanish women, is just my last name. There's nothing about it that has the ethnic traits to it, and I think Rob would kind of get my look going.
Yeah. Okay. I was having a hard time with this one. And you might even suggest one for me, because I couldn't really think. I was trying to. I wasn't finding anybody that looked like me. I wanted, and
the problem is, I have Francisco with hair, Francisco with no hair. It's easier than you think, surprisingly.
Okay. All right. But like, I was like, I wanted somebody that could encapsulate my personality more than anything else. So it wasn't just based on like looks or anything. I also wanted somebody who was also kind of a comic at the same time, like a comedian. That could.
My suggestion of you with hair is not a comedian.
Okay. And someone like that could do a little bit of a deadpan, because I feel like I can come off as serious sometimes, but when I'm like completely off the hinge, I'm off the hinge. And I chose Hannibal Buress.
Okay, to be honest. Obviously, color is not something I took consideration into.
So no, and that's the reason why.
Really, Hannibal?
Yeah,
I feel like Eric Andre, if we're gonna just open
Eric
it up,
Andre,
because he's so committed to like the
bit. Yeah, to the
if
bit.
We're just gonna open the fact that it can be of anybody's shape, size, and color, I was just definitely gonna.
That's a good one too. I am committed to the bit too. I mean, like the whole Jimmy Butler thing. I am definitely committed to that one. I do not break kayfabe for that one either. I do not at all. So yeah, Eric Andre's a good one too. I didn't even think of that one either. Well, no, another comedian. I was looking at comedians, to be honest, because I wanted somebody that could that knew that there was a line there with regards to like whatever you were gonna say, and can push it a little bit, but knew when to pull back sometimes. So I was and I feel like a comedian could do that.
You're also an actor being casted.
I mean, and I've done acting anyway, so in the past anyway, so it's not like
I'm those kind of acting, you pervs.
So depends on the tapes. So
all right, we at Sports Goofs.
This is with this is an Andrew-less episode for now. So we are off the rails here, right? Yeah, off the grid here, whatever. And anyways, and. So I was like, yeah, I wanted somebody who could like push the envelope, could also like let people know some of the things he doesn't like and stuff like that. So I'm like, it had to be a comedian. I feel like comedians do that. Like I've been watching a lot of comedy and stuff like that, Dave Chappelle and Norm Macdonald especially. But Norm Macdonald, Hannibal Buress, Eric Andre's a good one though. I can see that he setting up this thing and then. And just going with the entire bit. So that's a good one. But what are the other ones you suggested that could be me?
All right. So with hair.
With hair.
And the reason why I say this is because knowing you, I know short hair Francisco. And then I know like Francisco during Epidemic.
Yeah. Or early 20s me when I had like a ton, like my hair was long.
So you may or may not agree to it, but it's my world. I live with it. So Benicio del Toro was coming because I went a little into your looks and things like that, and it was just kind of there, and we don't see him in a lot of comedies because Benicio del Toro, for anybody who hasn't seen him in Traffic, watch it. He's excellent in it. I just literally looked at the getup, and the great thing about comedians is the comedians.
I'm trying to find him with like a full beard because he's got the goatee and all that stuff, I can rock
even him shaved, even him shaved, man. It's all plausible.
Yeah. Okay. I can the hair I can see. I think we have the same hair. We have the same hair.
The hair and a little bit of the
We
eyes.
have the same hair.
Yeah, I was like,
and yeah, I think the beard is the same as well. We got that. The eyes are different, of course. He seems to be squinting in every photo. But yeah.
He's also got them, the very dark eyes. Kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, there he is with the long ass hair. Yeah, yeah, I have that same hair. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
So like, that's why I'm like, okay, you know, and I'm
Same
like, I'm
hair.
just a sucker
Yeah.
for accuracy.
Mm-hmm. I can
I'm a
see
sucker
that
for
for sure.
accuracy. And then like kind of no hair Francisco. It's so it's the guy from Hostel, Jay something. Just because of like
Let me
that's
look.
the only thing kind
Let
of
me look
came
at
to.
the
But
cast for this.
he's got darker skin, but it's like literally the only thing that popped to me. I'm sure there's more. I wasn't gonna put Javier Bardem though. Granted, I would pay money for that big Spaniard to kind of play you as a comic. Talking about I've never
Let's
had a
see.
threesome before because I also took voice likeness a little bit of quality. You know,
Yeah. Trying to see. Okay, Hostel. Let's see. Released in 2005. Hold on one second. Trying to find the picture of the cast. Okay, so who are you talking about in the movie?
the main character Jay something. I forgot his name.
Jay Hernandez.
Yeah, Jay Hernandez.
Okay, there he is. Paxton. Let me look at different photos here. Oh, I am not that suave. I could. I could pull off any look, but
he had shaved hair at some point in like one of the movies I saw him in. It's just before no. I mean, look, he's a handsome guy. We're gonna call it out there right now. We understand this, but there was a point where he was like bald. That I was like, okay. I think it was because it was like Suicide Squad.
Like, he looks,
maybe
because I mean, you and I are like we're white Latino, right? He doesn't. He looks. Yeah. He's a little more in the middle grade with regards to the color spectrum. I don't know a lot of
Nicaraguan actors, man. I mean, what? Hold on, wait a second. Now we're thinking because there's only one movie I think I've seen.
And he was in Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah, he was Diablo.
Yeah,
but
he was Diablo.
There is one man who is Hispanic, Guatemalan, beautiful Oscar Isaacs with shaved head. Maybe I'll give him that to you. I don't know if he likes comedy, but let's see. I gotta see him bald. I saw Dune.
Let's see. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, I see more of that. Because
him with the I got him with the full beard. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I'm more with that. So I recant my thing about Jay Hernandez.
My hair can curl. Yeah. That's a good, and it's all like gray in the front, just like my beard grows. Yeah, that's the same. That's straight up the same.
Yeah, there's just certain things. So that was my thing for accuracy, and then Andrew. I mean, he's not here, so I wanted him to be part of that game. That'd be fun.
I feel like I could cast Jonah Hill as Andrew.
Yeah.
They're both Jewish. They're both. I think they both have the same hair. I think it could.
It's not just the hair, but the body language.
Yeah.
I'm thinking specifically super bad Jonah Hill.
I think, but I feel like he could
with them. Andrew's very polite, but anybody who knows Andrew, when he goes off the radar, oh shit, I died. When he goes off the radar and off the cuff, it is hysterical.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the outrageousness is like it all comes into it with the thing, and I'm like,
yeah, that works. All right. Fun thought experiment right there. Let's go. All right.
We went 36. Ah, damn it! I died again.
Yeah, we're like half an hour in already, man. We are half an hour in.
36. We went 36, and I'm dying on the easiest level.
Did you? What? You haven't played the game at all? At all? You just started it.
Oh no, I've been playing it. Like I was waiting for Halloween
trick or
treaters and playing on my Switch.
Oh, okay.
I'm on episode 3 now. I think there's like 4 episodes.
So
I'm pretty far into it. I will give my full review when the time comes because I don't like to rate games until it's fully done unless I just know it's terrible. And I'm also that person who just spites himself and will play it even though I hate. I like it a lot for what it's worth. It's this. Look, I've played 2 horror games.
I don't know what the thing they cut out from the Wii U version is. I played the Wii U version, but yeah.
I think they added in stuff.
I know that they added DLC for like Toadette and all that stuff. So
they have VR in it too.
Oh yeah. If you had the Nintendo Labo thingy.
Not a VR guy.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. No. Don't try the VR stuff on the Nintendo Switch. It's awful. Okay. So like. I guess we should talk about sports. All right, basketball. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go to the NBA. Let's go. We're here. Okay. We talked about beloved Jimmy. So it's October's ended. So we had pretty much the first two and a half weeks of the season, and so we got the new NBA foul rules. That's been something people have been looking out for. James Harden hates it.
Of course he does.
He's not getting the calls no more.
No, I
So
died.
he's gonna actually
I
have to
guess
be a
it's,
good basketball player. Um, so it's been
is it
reducing
too
fouls.
hard? Is it too hard to kind of hype or overhype teams that you expect to be better and then weren't better?
I mean,
Is it too early?
it's too early. I think it's too early right
Is it?
now. It's kind of weird, and we're gonna get to that. But yeah, apparently most people are fans of the new rules. I saw it was like an 87% from I don't know which outlet did this poll.
I like it though.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm good. No, it's actually bringing back defense. It's less floppy, less soccery, which is kind of the thing that was pissing me off about the NBA was that a lot of players were looking up to soccer players and the way they flop and all that stuff.
Well,
And
this rule was basically for Harden anyway,
yeah,
because the
yeah. Oh
guy
yeah.
literally,
No, he made his
you
whole
know,
entire career on that.
this is a guy who has won an MVP. His MVP season
Was based on
was,
that.
I don't know, his MVP season was actually not what I would say was the free throw situation because he had some legitimacy towards it. But even the year when I said he should be considered as an MVP, where Giannis got into fraud,
Got it
he
right.
ended up not getting it. He got it right. That's fine.
Yeah.
But it's
Hmm.
like Harden though, like it's not even coming to like it's more about I feel it's not about preventing the calls. It's more about telling the refs that not everything is a foul just because the shooter is running to the lane.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between like getting
And,
fouled, going to the bucket when it's a
and
hard
yeah,
foul.
yeah, and that was the big emphasis on this rule was they added basically it's for the offensive player that
I didn't even know there
initiates
was a
the
rule
contact.
until you told me, and
Yeah.
then I had to research it because
Yeah.
I was not following up on the
It's
NBA
about the
after.
guys who initiate the contact on purpose.
So
So
really,
it's
just him.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's straight up James Harden rule. so so that's and people thought it would affect Steph, but Steph is still getting like 6.8 attempts at the free
But
throw line
that's
anyways.
people who don't know basketball because Steph is a shooter
Yeah.
straight up.
Yeah.
Like don't come into be that stuff. The only person I can see that being applicable to, but he's not even going to play this season, is Kyrie. Because Kyrie had a few of those because he
Yeah.
likes to go in for it.
Hold on. All right. So now you mentioned Kyrie. Do you think he would?
Let's do it.
Do you think he's gonna retire?
Um, yeah, I'm just saying it right now.
I feel like he.
I think the minute that Brooklyn says we're not paying your contract anymore, then that's it.
Yeah. And I don't think
I
any
do
other.
not think he can play.
I don't find any other NBA team that wants to deal with that headache.
I
And
don't think he's inauthentic. I just think he's kind of stupid. I said it. Like you guys know my feelings on Kyrie. I've made it very apparent in the last couple of years. I like what he does for the social activism. You know I do. Because I think there's a lot of hypocrisy coming into it. He wasn't for the bubble originally, stuff like that. But the minute he's just like, I want to, and it was confirmed, I want to be a voice for the voiceless, was the minute I'm like, this is not your Muhammad Ali Vietnam speak. And for anybody
yeah.
who, and I always hype on it, is, Vietnam was a very touchy subject. And he basically, went and said, I'm not going to go die or go kill for people who never said, call me the N word kind of thing, whereas there's problems here. Like that was a very reasonable.
Charles. Yo, you've Charles has lagged out here, so I cannot hear him at all. So it's just me right now. Charles, you yeah, no, he dropped out. So we're gonna hold back. I can see what Charles is saying with regards to with Kyrie as I'm trying to bring him back into the fold here. For me, Kyrie, I'm looking at it from a basketball sense, and I talked about this last time. I'm looking at it from a basketball sense. He hasn't been consequential at all to the NBA. And so it's like the Brooklyn Nets aren't really losing anything because they've been playing without him this whole time.
Controversial?
So, yeah, Charles, you completely dropped out there, so I had to call you back in. I
Okay.
just
Well, where did I drop on?
Okay, so
The million-dollar
let's just start with where you were like when Kyrie said I want to be the voice for the voiceless and all that stuff, and that's when
Oh,
you
yeah, the voice for the
lost you.
voiceless. I felt that was inauthentic because this is not your Muhammad Ali.
Yeah,
Vietnam
Muhammad Ali, and
situation.
then the Vietnam. Yeah, okay, I
And
heard
then,
that part. Heard that part.
Well, what I said that was almost controversial was, and don't try to put this whole "my body, my choice" kind of ad hominem argument that people are making when it comes to vaccinations, because you had vaccinations coming into it, and that's why I've seen in the political sense people try to connect it to they use personal choices. I have personal choices that I don't want to go to work. I wake up with a sinus headache. I don't want to go to work, kids, but you still got to go. This is something about health and safety and welfare. And the problem with Kyrie is that he doesn't have the support of his players in the league. The NBA PA is probably going to want him to get at least his guarantees, but I would have, and he doesn't have to play per se. And listen, I think there's a different structured argument of, and of course, this is me being contrarian, like everything else I do on the show, I feel, but I can understand the construct of just because his NBA PA is in here doesn't mean that they're going to be looking at my best interest and the best interest of the league. And I do believe that sometimes people have to go and fight the brotherhood and work with it as well. But this is not the coordinated thing where this is true blackballing like it was with Colin Kaepernick. And I know it's a different sport and everything like that, but I'm going to utilize it. Why? Because we have that controversy with the George Floyd killing that came in where people didn't even want to, like, you know, kneel or not kneel, and everybody was coming into it. It just came down with vaccinations where, you know, Jeff Van Gundy said it best, and you know how I feel about JVG. I like him even though he's a little bit of Larry David NBA. So go talk to Karl Anthony Towns, see how it impacts. And now Kyrie, this is a New York law. This is this is a California law. These are many state laws for mandatory vaccination. So it's not even so much of the fact that you really get a say into it because the states have not even been delegated from the federal powers. It's from their own state impositions, and you chose to live in the state when you signed in Brooklyn. And tour and go through commerce that says, hey, you have to get it. So your only other solution is either retire, move out of the country, or, you know, que sera, sera. But let me ask you this, Francisco, because I felt like I've unfortunately systematically attacked his approach in a way that I didn't intend to, because I do like the guy. It just comes down to, do you feel Kyrie would not be as much of an anomaly if the Andrew Wiggins and the other players who said that they didn't like the vaccinations took the same stance as him? Because I feel like he's alone on an island, but you're not a martyr. You're just kind of like a rip your nose to spite your face kind of guy. You're the guy who picks a scab and you know it's going to hurt.
I feel like Kyrie he set himself up for this reaction by his actions from the years prior. And this is before the George Floyd thing in 2020, all that stuff. This is the whole flat earth thing and all that shit.
Yeah, but you know.
Like he's already positioned himself as someone that I, for one, don't take seriously at all.
Very true. And he is young. He's what, 26 now, 28?
Something like that. Yeah, he's in his late 20s now at this point. Right? He's been in the league for a while now. So now I don't take him seriously with regards to that. And he's been so
he's 29 now.
Yeah, he's been so inconsequential to the NBA landscape anyways because he's been injured and all this other stuff, and now he's choosing not to play.
He's not a top 15 player, but it's told that he's a top 15 player.
Exactly. So he's been so inconsequential. The Nets have been playing without him anyways too. So they've already kind of planned for it regardless. They got James Harden to kind of fill that hole anyways. That if he retired, I'd be like, all right, he was he had that run.
LeBron won him a title.
You know, yeah, he was LeBron's. As much as he'll hate this, he was LeBron's sidekick, and that's what he'll be known for. LeBron's sidekick, and then saying some stupid shit, and then kind of shooting himself in the foot when he was actually trying to say serious stuff, but because of the stupid shit you said before, nobody took you seriously.
We can't even say that he was LeBron's sidekick. He was the guy who needed LeBron and Kevin Love to win anything. Why? Because on his own, he didn't make Cleveland into a winning team. On his own, they did not get to playoffs. On his own, they couldn't get anything done. And yes,
of course, LeBron needed him for that shot, of course. But even then, I still think that the Warriors, in that series, the Warriors should have won, and they didn't. Much like 2011 when the Heat should have won, and they didn't. So.
Well, everybody needs somebody. Yeah. And it comes to basketball. It's not as much as a one-man game as people think it is because they've been spoiled with the Allen Iverson effect.
Yeah, but even AI didn't win it. So you saw he went up against Kobe and Shaq, and he got one game. That was it. He got one game.
And Kyrie didn't elevate Boston when he went there at all. And remember, his first year in Brooklyn was Kevin Durant-less, and he tried and led to Kenny Atkinson getting fired. So, yeah, facts kind of hurt. He's just a very polarizing figure because he was one of those few players for those people who like are only into the delay of, and I've seen Kyrie play live, so you can kind of see a little bit of the wow factor. But he's one of the few players where I felt like, you got to remember, this was a guy who was drafted to change the franchise directly. It wasn't that falsity that comes in where, like a Colin Sexton who was drafted post LeBron wasn't going to change the franchise, wasn't going to change the landscape. It wasn't those guys, even um, the current Minnesota, like the Cade Cunninghams, who was the #1 draft pick coming into it. We don't know. He's just going to be the best player, best drafted player on that team, but he's nothing like transcendent. But I remember he was coming out of Duke, and everyone was like, "This is going to be the guy," coming into it, blah 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 blah. And really, it's just a whole bunch of nothings. And some people don't want to be LeBron's guy, but Kyrie right now, it's not so much that he's a headache, but I feel like he's kind of like that bro that you kept with for a long time, and your wife or husband doesn't like said bro, and you got to stay loyal to it. But at some point you're gonna be like, all right, it's got to be deuces at some point, and that's what he feels like to me. And I don't think he's gonna come back and play. I find him polarizing and interesting, but also 29 with his style of play, his lifespan playing realistically. And I'm going to go be facetious here when I say about it was only probably about another 3 years anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
And he could always do the. And it's kind of funny. We saw Ron Artest here, so the Meta World Peace thing, where he's out for like a couple seasons, and he pops back out. He comes back after.
It's a different kind of personality too. Ron Artest had beef with the league because Ron Artest was at the end of the day, just hardcore. Kyrie, when everybody has a different opinion about you, I think that's more concerning. If that makes sense. Yeah. It makes sense to me. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. As a player, as a influencer, as an everything, because there's not one thing you could say generally about that person when it's good and it's bad. When it's the Ron Artest is like, he's done some stuff. He was there. He was dressing for Pacers and then even for Lakers. And he was known for being a hard ass. He was a dick. And then, he got some things wrong. But he wasn't always seen as the problem child. And what people need to understand, too, is we're not discouraging being a problem child. I like opinions. I like people who call out their commissioners. Hell, it's whatever we've been doing about Rob Manfred.
I mean, heck, we do it. We call out the Florida bar and all that stuff all the time. It's like
allegedly. Yeah. But with Kyrie, it's just more or less like, I don't think you've articulated the point that you're trying to get across. And that's the worst thing ever. To be given a platform that hundreds of people would be envious of. Hundreds. We would all be envious if we were trying to get some real change in this world. And not change. I hate the word change because I think it's been hokied in Hollywood out. To be honest with you, development, evolution. Change. You know what the problem with change? Yeah, you know what the problem with change is? It can always change back.
Yeah.
Evolution, development, everything like that is just, I think we would all legitimately want that kind of message and that opportunity, and I feel like it's been squandered.
All right, so that's Kyrie. Let's see.
Heat. Let's talk Miami Heat.
Oh well, I'm gonna get to it. So let's get to the West. We'll get to the West first because I haven't really watched any of the West teams, but the Jazz are a great regular season team, so they've started off well. Yeah. But it's like, they're a good regular season team. What are they going to do in the playoffs,
Yeah. Show me what you got. Granted, they get a little bit of mulligan because who was not there last year? The man that they traded all that time for as Mike Conley. Because he was injured. So I will give some degree of pass on that. Donovan Mitchell, though, hating on them Yankees, and I'm still going to love you, boy.
He's a Mets fan, man. He's a Mets fan. His dad worked for or dad still works for them, so
if you want to support intolerance,
his favorite player was David Wright. I mean, so
but it's not a logical hatred. Like, my nephew likes the Boston Red Sox, and I've already disowned him twice, and I still keep him around. So if I could do that, he's 14 now, so his whole thing is like he's finally at that age where I can like steal him for my own purposes. Yeah. I'd be like, oh god, I'm my buddy, but it's terrible realizing I would have to go and take him to a Red Sox Tampa Bay, because you got to do that, right? You got to do that. You got to be that family member and take him to the Red Sox Rays game. But the fact that it's just so disgusting in my feels. But if I've kept to him, then I can accept Donovan Mitchell, who I was his big supporter last year, right? Loving it. I can support him, and it's the Mets. I grew up in Queens, man, or like 2 degree. anyways. But Jackson Heights, Queens is its own little niche thing, so I can get behind that. It's just come on, man. Just you don't know what winning looks like, and that shows because you play for the Utah Jazz. So don't worry, I will teach you.
Yeah. So here we go. The Warriors are back. So
back without Clay, and we don't want to jump on this, and this is kind of what we led to when we we're talking about the NBA. But I hate, and this is what I hate about the masses. No one wanted to acknowledge the fact that that team went so far extreme that their bodies couldn't take it anymore, and this is basically a rest break for them. And now it's like the chickens have come home to roost, and now it's just that team, it's I'm that ish, as the girls say, have come back to they are fully effective, and that's without Clay.
Yeah.
And wait till he comes back, because the West is always weird, because there's always that 1 year where teams are injured, and that's where you get those fraud teams such as like the Minnesota Wolves or Timberwolves can come in and be like, okay, we got it, kids, yay! Were you really like?
Well, Minnesota is basically like, oh, we finally figured it out, and I don't know. We'll see if they actually did figure it out this season or not. But all right, East. The Bulls are for real.
Sure. I'll give it to you.
They're deeper. They're deeper than they've ever been. They got DeMar DeRozan now.
We like Billy Donovan.
Yeah, they're gonna have Vucevic for a full season, right?
Yeah, and we like Vuce.
And DeMar kind of helps them out when Levine isn't doing his thing or when he's injured.
Yeah.
So
we don't know if we like. I still don't know how I feel about LeVar on there or whatever ball it is. There's too many these days. Like Lonzo. Like I like Lonzo enough to know what he is. I always called him the Andre Miller of this generation. But the problem is that system. The good thing about that system is like he will be the fourth man trying to get the last shot. That's a good thing. But the Bulls are for real. But the East is so weird that it's easy to come back in.
But I just feel like they did well, especially exposing the frauds out in Boston.
Oh my God!
they were down 19, and then they went on a 51-18 push to destroy them at the end of the game.
I have loved it because Chicago, if you're a baseball fan, I'm sorry, not baseball. If you're a basketball fan, I think you agree with this with me. It doesn't feel right the Chicago Bulls are crap. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's
Chicago's
and
Chicago's kind of needed it now with the winter sports because the Blackhawks are terrible now. And they had the whole scandal, so that's bad. The Bears are the Bears.
Really mucking it up.
The White Sox were in the playoffs by only virtue of having a terrible division. And the Cubs are rebuilding. So, yeah, the Bulls being back is a good thing for them over there. And the Knicks and the Sixers are leading the Atlantic.
Yeah. The Knicks, you see, it's weird. Here we are being like, basketball doesn't feel right if the Bulls aren't good or decent, competent.
Yeah.
Whereas we're just like, it's the Knicks. I'm like, nah.
It's been
forever.
It's been a while, and we'll see. And the Heat are really for real.
Wait a second! You guys said that, but you didn't do anything when you went to the NBA Finals. Did y'all forget that this was an NBA's Finals team? Did it escape you that whom we lost to was like legitimately the most potent team that had been out there for such a long
and we took them in 6.
time?
And I keep saying if we had Goran and Bam healthy, we would have taken it to 7 or possibly 1.
People like what they like, and they called us fraud teams. And do you see what happened?
And last season was a byproduct of the fact that they had a short turnaround from the season prior, so they were tired.
Yeah. And the fact is now that we don't already have guys who started off injured because we had dudes who were like, you think Goran was healthy even at the beginning of that season? We were just looking at help and all this other stuff. Do you think that we lie as a fan base because we just like to think everything's great? This is not the Miami Hurricanes where we're always back. This is not the Miami Dolphins, where it's like, it's our year now because Tom Brady's out. When we say things as a Miami Heat fan base,
it's because the show's going to be good.
It's because we know that there is legitimacy to our statements. And we have backed that up. And I understand it's the first beginning of the season. And no, I do not give credit
this Miami,
whatsoever.
This Miami, people who have truly seen the Miami Heat, this team is different. but
Yeah,
in a
it's super
good
different.
way. A
It's super
good
different.
way. Yeah.
It is what we want, how we want it, when we want it. And what I want people to understand too is that we also, because the problem is NBA out of all sports is a very like now situation where it's got to be now. It's got to be this with your development of players. And y'all just couldn't wait 3 years for Tyler Hero to actually show why he was a first round pick. We know he's not the draft like the lottery pick. It was what 15. But do you see? Do you see what I see? Do you see it?
Mm.
How he's not a starter, but he is a starter. How yes, his defense can improve, but he is becoming our efficient offense.
Yeah.
That's what I see, Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I see legacy. I see development. I see happy turnaround for Charles. But these people, these bunch of haters, they don't like it. Do you see a team who plays defense with Bam,
Yeah.
with
Oh yeah.
Butler,
And
with Kyle,
and
even? And
that goes to the versatility of this team, and that's why basically because they're not just winning, they're winning games by a lot, right? They're shooting,
and we are aware that
and
it's only 7 games.
but regardless, it's showing versatility of the team because I know that they now I know this Heat team can win like that, where they have to do a shootout. Or if they need to grind, I already know from the past 2 seasons that this team can grind a win out as well. Like if we have a defensive matchup where we're not getting 100 points, I still believe in this Miami Heat team to be able to get that done compared to a different team.
And do you know what's better, Francisco? I believe this is a team that could be a West Coast team. Like the Miami Heat last year could be any East Coast team. I'll say it. I don't care. Like yeah, we got destroyed by the Bucks. I don't care. Don't care. Like it's still we tapped that ass for everybody else the year prior. Like I think we were always built to be a East Coast team.
Mm.
I feel we can beat a West Coast team. I felt that if you gave me Utah's one, if you gave me the Warriors, and here's the thing about the Golden State, I have them in like a top 3 seed. Like people forget Steve Kerr is a good coach. Like they're not going to get James Wiseman back. Like they're not going to get Clay back either. It's not like Clay was always a to the rim guy. So obviously you don't know basketball if you're thinking, oh, he's got an Achilles and a knee injury. And he's like, I'm doing like, buddy. He's a 3 shooter. So he does more, but he can also shoot the 3 as well as a jumper. It might not have as much wear and tear coming into it. So I think this team could take on a West Coast team.
So just to your point with regards to beating West Coast team, I mean, we beat Dallas already, right?
Yeah, but they're frauds. Let's just say it right now. I was saying that last year too, so I don't care.
So far the only West teams that we faced thus far, Dallas and Memphis.
Yeah, Memphis is a weird kind of mix.
I can't Memphis. Yeah, Memphis is. I mean, it really depends on like how far they can go with Ja Morant. So
they also traded a whole lot of guys.
Yeah.
So it's like because they don't have Valanciunas anymore. They have Adamson in there. I just got to see how it kind of produces, and it's one of those things where we talk about system in basketball a lot, and I just got to see. I feel like there's not enough shooters, and I don't know enough about Jaren Jackson to see what was the hype about giving that extension. I think a lot of NBA teams kind of freaked out about rookie contract extensions because why? They're going to freak out when the new TV deals come in. That's why they rather get those guys paid out now, such as Mikhail. They don't want to be stuck with the Leak Bridges kind of situation where they have to pay all these guys if there's going to be new monies coming in, especially with that COVID money coming in. But I don't know. Like I'll reserve ruling.
We'll reserve judgment on
like
Memphis. But so far, I mean, both teams are similar. They're both 4-3, so that's kind of who the Heat have beaten. So we haven't, but what we have beaten Brooklyn.
Yeah, and you know what? Don't give me the whole there's no Kyrie because there was no Kyrie last year for
exactly.
a big portion of it. Focus on how we kind of stopped Durant.
Opening night against Milwaukee. So, just saying.
Milwaukee, what's up with them? Is everybody hurt?
I mean, yeah, I mean, championship lull too. That could also be a thing. So, they'll be fine. They'll get it together.
We're not debasing whatsoever.
They're 4-4. They'll get it together.
Yeah.
And
I can't take seriously certain things. Like that's why I don't worry about
Central. We'll see how the Bulls stand up to them this year. That'll be a nice change to see.
I would say that Bulls team is most like us.
Well, that's why it's kind of intriguing seeing the Bulls. I mean, I actually if if they keep playing like this, it's like, oh, that's an Eastern Conference final right there. You know?
Yeah. I love Boston sucking. I love it because Brad Stevens kind of played the Bill O'Brien role where he's like, I want to consolidate these powers. I want to get my dudes that I think are going to be perfect. And then you realize, like, this is really bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, I don't know how to pronounce their coach's name, so that's how I'm going to start it out with. But good for him for getting that job and everything like that. But Brad Stevens, the minute he said, okay, I can't do this anymore, so I'm just going to be the GM, is a dangerous kind of proposition.
Yeah.
You know,
especially when he doesn't have a history of it. So
yeah, for every Larry Bird who does something monumental,
or Pat Riley,
you get the Isaiah Thomas without the sexual allegations. And the reason why we bring that up, folks, is because it is so off kilter, and it's already not. I don't know what you're a team stuck in transition, or are you a team that's just going to be muddled in contracts because you're paying Al Horford, just out of nostalgia, and that's bad. And I liked Al Horford back in the day. I think everybody did. But
back in 2012, that's fine.
Yeah, and that's kind of, there. So that's always kind of concerning. Jaylen Brown, you have to decide if you're going to pay him or not, too. So keep that in mind. And then you have the situation of, is Taysom going to be kind of stuck there? I'm sorry, Tatum. I'm thinking Taysom Hill for the Saints because I'm looking at stuff for football. But is Tatum going to be kind of like stuck in being the best player on a team and then, oh, no, I died. No. And then just kind of stuck with everything there because you have like no point guards coming into it. I'm just waiting for Isaiah Thomas to come back because that's what I feel what's his face is going to do. Is like, let's just bring the band back together one time.
Let's roll it back to 2016. Or
because being a GM, I think is kind of like the best GM to me right now, aside from Pat, is just Mejri, or what his name was, from Toronto, who knew how to develop, how to strike, who to get, and when to let go.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you're not going to get that
he knew that championship window with Toronto was well, I mean, it was probably the smallest one that I've ever seen. And he knew he needed one guy and one guy only to put them over the top. And sacrifice DeMar DeRozan for it.
Well, it wasn't just one guy. It was one other thing. It was one coach. He knew the guy that he had was not sufficient to go for it.
Yeah.
And being a good GM is knowing to make those hard decisions.
Oh yeah. So he did two things. He and Dwayne Casey won the Coach of the Year. Too. That was one. And he got rid of a beloved franchise icon in DeMar DeRozan, right? So,
but the eye on the prize was what do you want it to be?
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think Brad Stevens, and I think I like Brad Stevens for what it's worth. I think he made a reputable team with Butler, and I think he did well with the Celtics as a coach who transitioned well.
I just don't know if he shouldn't have taken this job. If he was like tired of coaching or whatever, I don't know, go back to college, play for, coach for a more prestigious college program, and then come back to the NBA or whatever, or move on to someplace else. I mean, it's hard to go. It's hard. It's hard. He could do broadcasting, and then eventually he'll get hired again. I just feel like he definitely wasn't going to go from Boston to like a middling franchise, like, I don't know, Sacramento. Sacramento's always a good example.
Is it the fact that ownership probably sold him on the prospect of being a manager?
That, or ownership felt he was like so valuable they couldn't lose him. It was like, we'll make you the GM
what's
president.
The value?
I don't know. I guess and also there's a desperation to Boston as well. They've set up this team. They had all those draft picks. I mean, they've been kind of
they bought their own hype.
That's
really what it feels like.
And it's like they're in contention, but they've never really been in contention. Like they had two seasons. I think
was having Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah,
not that Isaiah
they had
Thomas,
two seasons of true contention when they were facing off against LeBron and the Cavs, and then that 1 year with Kyrie, but that didn't work out.
Did they even go to the Eastern Conference Finals on that one? I don't recall.
I think
basketball, man.
I think they did, but Kyrie was injured, right? So it was kind of basically done from there. Anyways, their championship window. I mean, if it ain't shut, then it's very, very, very close to shutting right now.
And that's the whole thing.
And even then,
in it to win it.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, I don't even know how much you can say they had a championship window, because I don't think they would have beaten anybody in the West, and they definitely can't beat anybody in the East right now. They can't beat Milwaukee. They can't sure as hell ain't gonna beat Miami.
No. But going from Boston, because it's kind of sad. It really, I'll leave at this with Brad Stevens, and I got nothing else for him, is that it's kind of like you're on that breakup. I love you, but I don't know how to like be without you anymore.
Yeah, that could be a thing too.
And that's what it feels like. But in happier news, 76ers are still frauds. It's so good.
We'll see. I mean, they're 5-2.
It's fun.
And it's another regular season team, right? They'll rack up their wins, but with a New York Knicks team that's actually contending, that might be a bit of a change. That could be interesting to watch. And then the Wizards are good, apparently. I don't know.
Listen, you want to know why the Wizards are good? Because they took all the good players that LA had, and were like, thanks.
Yeah.
It is so to bring up history. It's the equivalent of when Denver got all those players from the Carmelo Anthony trade. And they were able to get your Ty Lawsons and all these other guys, your J.R. Smiths, because those were fundamentally sound players. Yeah. And what was Washington suffering from? Bad draft picks. Yeah. Plain and simple. Like, they had no depth, no bad picks, and they were just like, right field. Yeah, so if you give me, no sound substance. So if you're like, oh, hey, we'll give you Montrezl Harrell, and then we'll give you all these other guys, and we'll give you all the other dudes that were on there from the Lakers, it's going to be like, thanks. You're going to be good with it. You're going to be sound. So good on them for just like, thank you, because it's not even like they traded away sound guys. This was all for Russ. Remember, this was all for Russ. So it is not the Carmelo Anthony. You have a guy who is out of his prime. And I'm just going to say, like, I'm not overreacting on Lakers. I'm not even overreacting on Russ, because what they're looking for is just dudes to take over and lead if their other stars are down. I think you got the best guy in Russ. Because there will come a time where LeBron's not going to play and Davis can get hurt. And who are you going to be like? You're like, Josh Hart? You're like, oh, Alex Caruso? No, they're like, okay, let's go.
The Lakers knew the Lakers knew they were just two guys. The Lakers knew their team is just two guys. So, let's get a third guy, even though it's not really a big three. It's just big two still, but LeBron is.
You and I both know this. Russ can in a 7-game series. Russ by himself can win you at least 2 games.
Yeah,
he has done it.
He can will a team. In the first round.
The plan.
In the first round, at least.
That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. It's like, all right. But people, I think it's just too hip to be square mentality. Like, we just want to hate the Lakers because the Lakers. And then I'm like, no. What you need to hate on is just how this money is going to go in 2 more years. Where you're like, oh, shit, we're out of it.
All right. So we're at the halfway point. So, Charles, we're going to do a word from our non-sponsors. That's people. That's places. That's things. That's concepts that we have been enjoying over the last week. It is just me and Charles for now. I'm assuming Andrew's not going to pop by. We're already at halfway point, 1 hour in, so I'm assuming he's not going to pop through here. But I'll get us started here, Charles. And I had mentioned before that it might be a little controversial today, for sure.
I'm ready for it.
But I feel like I need to give my props to this person, and because it's someone that I've followed since I was a teenager. And my non-sponsor is Dave Chappelle. Right?
Like, I laughed at the thing, or the stand-up, so you're okay with me on that.
So it's Dave Chappelle, and yes, he's embroiled in controversy, but he's a comedian, so of course he's going to be. And he's a huge comedian, so of course he's going to be. But
he's not even controversy. It's Netflix made their own controversy.
It's a whole thing, and I'm not going to get into it. All right. Y'all, that's for the Twitter and all that stuff, and the internet's stupid. So it doesn't matter. I mean, heck, we're on the internet. This is Sports
You guys pay us. You guys pay us money.
Yeah. Although we haven't been sponsored for this episode, so
that's fine. We went rogue.
Yeah. I was hoping for that McRib for sponsorship today, but that's fine. Whatever. That's fine. Well, we did our Piranhas Hockey World thing. They stay loyal to us, right? I think we got a couple cents from them already, so we're good to go. I checked the numbers. Anyways, Dave Chappelle, been following him since I was a teenager. Chappelle Show, just iconic show for my development in my taste for comedy for sure. You have Half Baked, movie he did with Jim Brewer. That's hilarious.
Jim Brewer's crazy.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, and he's got good stand up too. All right, if people listen to Jim Brewer, he's got some pretty darn good stand up as well. And this year I was able to actually see Dave Chappelle live. My brother-in-law got tickets at the Seminole Hard Rock Casino, and we went to go see him. And well, his the subject of his comedy special was the one that was in the recent Netflix one, or his last one for Netflix, for like the 5 he was contracted to do. And I mean, the man's just hilarious, and I think he's intelligent. He's brilliant. The David Letterman, was it the thing on Netflix that he did with him to kind of show some insight to who Dave Chappelle was and stuff like that, kind of opens your eyes to him. And I've just enjoyed his comedy and his social commentary as well. Okay, and just from what he believes and what he sees from his perspective, and I find it pretty enlightening as well, just to see it from his perspective, and the way he spins some of the hard, controversial issues to talk about into comedy. And that's why I love comedy, stand-up comedy, and TV comedy, all that stuff, Always Sunny, all that stuff. It's because, man, life can suck a lot of times, right? Real life. Me and Charles work in professions, and especially in categories of professions where, we see some real shit. And so it's nice when I see someone, I don't know what that saying is with like regards to like comedy and tragedy or whatever. There's like a thing, but
life is a comedy and a tragedy.
Yeah, something like that. Or the darkest things are like the best comedy and stuff like that. Some of the darkest stuff or best comedy comes from the darkest stuff, and it's because life is hard too, and it's good to laugh. I read a study that like children laugh, I don't know, like 100 times per day, and like adults only laugh like 5 or 10. The average adult only laughs like 5 or 10 times per day or something like that, or even less. And so there are a lot of people out there who are some pretty frumpy, and
I'm one of those people.
Well, I've been listening to a lot of Norm Macdonald lately these past couple of weeks, and his brilliant comedy and stuff like that. But I just most recently rewatched Dave Chappelle's special here. So I've seen it 3 times already. 1 live and the 2 Netflix ones, just to review it and stuff like that. And I appreciate the craft with regards to comedy. I really do. I love a lot of comedians, and really this is like a non-sponsor for stand-up comedy in general. I feel it's one of the best mediums out there for life. Some of it can be serious social commentary. You got guys who do that. I like myself a little Lewis Black every once in a while, right? And then you have guys who,
the older I get,
you got that. You got Dave Chappelle stuff with regards to race and gender and all that stuff like that. You have guys who don't want to talk about that shit at all, like Jim Gaffigan, right? And just talk about family life and just observations like that. And then you have some really weird shit. There's a few comedians
do that. What is the
weirdest
comedian?
The weirdest comic right now?
For you. I always thought Dante Martin in my lifespan. The one who do the Pictionary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get into it, but he's just the first thing that pops into my head.
I mean, there's some stupid stuff. They got Jeff Dunham.
Yeah, my God. Tell it to any white girl in 2009, though. You were not getting that date.
There's another guy, Randy Feltface, who's an Australian comedian that's basically a puppet. And he's actually got some good stuff.
What about the shirtless guy? I don't know.
Bo Burnham's pretty brilliant, too.
Second to get into Bo.
His is more theatrical in that sense, and he's definitely got a lot of chops with regards to acting and singing and all that stuff, and that kind of mixes into his comedy. And I can see why some people may not like it. It might be a little too much, but I just kind of appreciate the entire The craft. I like the craft of comedy. I could never be a stand-up comic. I don't believe I have the chops to turn real life into comedic situations. I mean, we all experience comedic situations and stuff like that. We can recount a story or two, but I don't think I could consistently do it like they do, you know, and have the courage to go up there and tell it to people and see if they laugh or not.
So you're
So
not a vulnerable person, Francisco.
I'm not. Well, I mean, hell, we do this show, man. We do this show, so it's not like I don't have any fear. I mean, shit. Not a lot of people will actually sit up here and do this and stuff, man. We stand in front of judges. I've already had my pants pulled enough down by judges in court that it really doesn't matter to me. But there's still some courage with this, and I know Dave in his this last special he went out on a mission with this one. There was a definite point he was trying to make. A lot of people may not be seeing it or may be refusing to see it, but I felt it was a very well constructed special. So, Dave Chappelle, um, promo code I'm rich, biatch.
Appropriate. Ashley Larry would have been another one. Those skits
Yeah,
always cracked me up.
yeah,
See, some of those Dave Chappelle episodes age perfectly, some of them not so much, but they're always kind of funny for their time. And that's sometimes the humor in comedy is you have to also appreciate the time and the place of it, whether it be a movie, a TV show, or a stand person. My favorite's always gonna be Carlin. I feel that's just so basic
yeah.
white boy
And
love, but
it
Carlin is now like just preaching to me in today's
well, I
times.
mean, he was, and that's kind of the reason why he wasn't. He never really got mainstream with people. That's the other thing, you know. Of course, he was ahead of his time too. That's another thing.
Big time.
Yeah, he was way ahead of his time. So he was saying things
But
that people weren't trying to say back then. You know, you got Richard Pryor too. That's another one.
I mean,
Um,
Carlin's my whole predicate of don't vote. It
yeah,
annoys the crap out of Andrew, but like, when you become a man and a woman and an adult and everything in between, you kind of make your own determinate factors. But sometimes you reflect on things that are told to you, and whether it's a person that you know or even someone that you had no conversation with in your life, but it was still something comedical, some things impact you. And comedy is always good. You need levity in life. You need jokes. You can always strive for the
yeah,
toilet humor too. It's just the whole thing about comedy is subjective. But who's it subject to? To the person
yeah.
that likes it. Just like some people how they like the whole "Let's go, Brandon." That controversy. I think it's stupid. I think that means you like to kiss your sister on the mouth. But some people are gonna find it funny.
Yeah,
Look, I'm just calling it like I see it.
yeah, yeah,
Me. I'm next. So Francisco, come on, I can
yeah.
make this. I can make this. No, no. I'm not a father. I
Mm,
have I have never, had a child. I don't expect in my
that you know
lifespan I
of.
will ever have a child. No, no, no. I'll make sure that that's tempered. Um, and we've been holding off on this for a while now that I can finally talk about it. But there's a certain game that I've played
Mm,
recently that gave me the joys and wonderhood of fatherhood, and that was Resident Evil Village. It was spooky season, kids, and Charles got spooky by playing every spooky game that he had in his backlog. I had Resident Evil 2 Remake, and I
yeah.
have Resident Evil
We had
Village, and
House
I
of
played
Ashes last time. Hmm.
House of Ashes as well, and I had Resident Evil Village um, as my like one of my first PS5 games I was going to play through. And I like the Resident Evil series. It's not for everybody, but I've enjoyed it for what it is. It has certainly been a series about evolution, and this is one of those first games I've played where I feel I've completed it. It took about 10 hours to come into it, and I don't want to go too much in detail the storyline, but I think it kind of matters is that um, Resident Evil, you think zombies, you think Umbrella, you think all these little governmental shakeups and everything like that. We go to Resident Evil 4, which is one of my favorite games of all time. And I know everybody say it's overrated or it's outdated. I don't care. It's still one of my favorite games of all time. And I'm just basically Leon Kennedy trying to save the present. But in Resident Evil Village, it was continuing the story of Ethan Winters, who was the main character in Game 7, which I skipped on because Bayou Horror, Louisiana was not my cup of tea. And then I knew that the villains there were just not as diverse. It was just molten men. I was like, no, 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 no. I'll just keep to what I know. Thank you very much. Resident Evil 8 is different. Resident Evil Village was different. I felt that it was a pure successor to Resident Evil 4, one of my favorite games of all time. Hint, hint, wink, wink. The action, the intensity, the focus, the everything that kind of came to it. and the emotional renaissance. And I don't want to go too much in detail, spoiler, but we all know about big old vampire Lady Dimitrescu and everything comes into it. But it really, at the simple day, is not about a father, or not father, but not a man trying to overgo against spooky stuff and then beating, these little monsters. Is more about a father trying to do right by his daughter. And I felt some emotion about it, especially near the ending scenes. I won't spoil, but it was one of those first Resident Evil games where I actually felt real closure. Usually it's just the very endings are like the cheesy heroes win for the day. Like if you ever played Resident Evil 4, which I love, he literally leaves on a jet ski with Ashley after saving the president's daughter. I was just expecting him to make out him put on shades, but Leon Kennedy don't flow like that. Resident Evil Village or Ethan Winters, you get some returning of Chris Redfield, who I guess is really the main character, though I can argue Jill Valentine, Claire Redfield can get there too. But it's continuing his story. He's over in like a quiet little village over in Europe trying to do some things. And then, Chris comes in and ruins his life. Graphics, amazing. Action, fun, first-person viewing coming into it. Really good for spooky season, even post-spooky season. And I think I was kind of emotionally invested in that game more so than I have in any Resident Evil game when I realized what I was trying to do. The first 3 hours or so, 4 hours or so has that spooky vibe, and then it becomes more action-based. I enjoyed it, man. I liked it a lot. As you see a little baby in the background, that's Rosemary. That's Ethan's kid. But there was the house scene, the Benevito, the dollhouse level. Good stuff. And all around, I felt connected to it. I thought it was good. When they make 9, I'll look forward to it. I don't think Ethan's going to be in it. I think it's just going to kind of go off shift. But definitely get it on your PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, PC. Don't get it on the current gen consoles. It's probably not going to run as fun. Good old Resident Evil fun with some love to Resident Evil 4. Basically, those good games I had the pleasure playing. Not my game of the year. We will see what my game of the year is when we have our annual review of stuff, but it's not there. But it's like a solid 8.5 for Charles. Probably third favorite Resident Evil game I played. It's always gonna be 4, and I love the RE2 remake. And there's some of the remakes I'll play in between, but definitely enjoyable. Promo code World's Best Dad.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Let me revise that. With World's Best Dad, also a line that they put boulder punching asshole. That is for anybody who's played 5 that knows what I'm talking about there. Hilarious when they came on. I laughed thoroughly.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I want to move to another segment. I've been waiting, Charles, for this one. We got Gottlieb's Goons.
Oh, buddy, it's not even fair.
Okay. This past week, a lot of shit. A lot of shitty people in sports, for sure, and we gotta talk about them because I've been sitting. Let's get one out of the way. This was one of the more recent ones and one of the more gruesome ones. Henry Ruggs III. Out in Vegas, going real fast, going real drunk. Struck and hit another person. That person died. He lived. And he is no longer with the Las Vegas Raiders. That happened out in Vegas. And he is probably not going to be out in freedom anytime soon either. So that happened. Kind of one of the things that people feared, putting a NFL team in Vegas. Shit like this would happen. So there you go.
156 miles.
Yeah.
Coming out like he had a 5-star rating in GTA.
Yeah. It was bad. It was real bad. Even I think he had his first hearing with a judge today, right? I think that happened today already. Even the judge was like, he'd never even seen 156 before, And what was the alcohol level? It was like
1 something.
Yeah, it was like double, like more than double the legal limit. Like way. I'm gonna harp on it just a little bit more. It's kind of shitty. I mean, and I didn't know anything about this guy, but then you read the stories and stuff like that, and I mean he quit football for a bit, and then he returned like in his junior year, and was awesome. And then like his friend died in a car accident, and he like was doing tributes to him every time he scored a touchdown, and then. It goes to Alabama. Goes over there. He's from Alabama. He went to Alabama. goes, plays, gets drafted rookie season last year, right? And then this happens, and so it's just kind of horrible how he was going through that, talking about the way his friend died, and then he goes and does something like this. And
it's wasted talent at the end of the day, but 22 or 52, you're all accountable for what you do, kids.
So and I guess I have to give goons to Raiders fans and even some NFL fans out there that are like, oh well, he's a young kid. No, man, no, he's 22. He's 22 or whatever. He killed another human being, 23-year-old woman.
And I love how people on the fan bases or just casual viewers will bring up everything in history. They were talking about a Cowboys player that Jerry Jones had advocated for. Mind you, Jerry Jones is not the shining example of humanity. Just saying that right now.
Right.
And then I even brought up like Dante Stallworth killed a guy, but that's just known facts and still got to play.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, there could always be a possibility.
Yeah, there is a possibility. Yeah, I mean, but it still doesn't absolve him from making a better choice.
Fair to say that just humanity, and this is why I hate Twitter, and this is why I don't really use. I only do it for us.
Yeah, and wrestling.
And wrestling. I gotta know what's going on. But my beef with it always stems from the idea that you really gives people an opportunity to show who they are, so they don't get ashamed because it's just invisible fingers. And me, like me, I'll send in some like effed up tweets to you guys or memes, for my own humor. But there is no time limit of humor. You take into it as it is. But when I was looking at some of the stuff with Ruggs, I'm just like, guys, do we not want accountability? This whole time, all we hear is about preferential treatment when it comes to the superstars. But the minute it comes into law and people are saying it's not that bad.
The minute it happens to your fucking team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like what are we saying about that? What do we want to be about that? And it's just, it amuses me. People amuse me because I'm that guy. How do I want to say this? I'm not trying to make myself sound like a tough guy whatsoever. I'm that guy who believes that if confronted face to face, that person would never say it straight up. They ain't real.
No.
As some people.
Well, that's why I was, and I've made a point, and that point was the emphasis of this show. I mean, it's the emphasis of the title of this show. The internet is fucking stupid. That's why I don't take much of it seriously. Even this show, we do it for fun. We do it, and once again, the minute that we got sponsorship for the show, I cracked up laughing. I'm like, this is us of all people. Like, it didn't matter the amount that we got either. It didn't matter the amount, but the minute we got sponsorship and we had ads running and stuff like that, it was. And people contacting us, I was like, this is hilarious. This is funny. This is ridiculous. And it's all a joke to me, and I love it. I love it for that. And we have the serious show every once in a while. We talk about some serious shit too, but like it's like that. Episode. But the internet is stupid, and and I love it sometimes for that reason. But then there's shit like this. But all right, moving on. Chicago Blackhawks. The National Hockey League and the National Hockey League Players Association. I'm lumping them all together here. So, this is a continuation of our massive discussion last week, and I don't want to harp on it too much longer because we kind of already made our feelings known last episode. The player that was sexually assaulted it was by a video coach. I had gotten everything completely wrong with regards to who it was, but regardless, was Kyle Beach, who revealed himself to have been the player that was assaulted. And there is a player too, by the way, that has not come out. He went on TSN up in Canada to have like a 30-minute long interview with the reporter that broke the story. And it's hard to watch. It's a hard interview to watch. And the he's opening up his soul to the world there. And I think it was especially hard for any fan, even someone who cheers for the Chicago Blackhawks, and you have some ripple effects with like a Florida Panthers fan. And even the Winnipeg Jets, but they didn't do shit. So I guess I'll lump them in too because they didn't fire their GM. But I don't know. I can't assume what the investigation showed. They it's hard to be one of those stupid shitty fans on Twitter that's trying to defend this, right? After that.
Well, if they try to defend it, you're basically saying that male sexual assault doesn't occur.
Yeah,
that
and
the
there's a lot of
extreme
people out there that believe that, right? So,
Yep. Especially in a sport base, because
Yeah.
they're thinking you're profiling. You're profiling a 200-pound man who is X feet tall and wide and whatever, and you're making this assumption that it's an impossibility.
Yeah.
To that, sir or madam, is saying
and you're making the assumption that everybody,
erroneous.
like, if I was 6'5", 250 pounds, and with big giant muscles, so I would just beat the crap out of people. But some people aren't like that. Some people don't want to beat the crap out of everybody,
Even though you have the capability, you still can be sexually assaulted. That's such a
Exactly.
fallacy that comes into it. And I don't know. And maybe it's because it's me. Maybe it's because of the stuff I do.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'm not I am in no means an advocate of any of these things, to for or against. But I think what happens is well, let's be candid. I am an advocate against it, obviously. But it just perplexes me where this belief of machismo ought to be coming into it, because who's to say this hasn't happened in any other sport that is out there?
Yeah, and it hasn't happened
since.
Sport of course, and it hasn't happened. Yeah, it's countless times in every level of sport, right?
It's just we like to cherry pick.
Yeah, but this is huge. This is a major sports league where this is happening, right? So, it's goons to the Blackhawks, NHL, and NHLPA for failing Kyle Beach. They failed him. They utterly failed him, and they failed the system. And it calls into question. And there's a lot of hockey fans kind of that have been victims of this, or have known people who are victims of this, or just conscientious of it, and regardless if they have no direct link to it, that kind of call into question their fandom and their unwavering support for the league when something like this goes down. And I'm gonna keep watching hockey. I love hockey and everything, but I will say the NHL and the NHLPA. And the NHLPA is the one that surprised me. But Don Fear, who used to be the MLB PA leader, and he fucked up too. So they all fucked up. So yeah, goons to them. All right, let's get on the lighter side here. Andrew's not here. I was kind of hoping he'd be here, but I put the college football playoff committee because my beloved Cincinnati Bearcats are not in the top 4 spots.
Whereas my beloved Miami Hurricanes don't even get a 25 because you chose a team that's like 7-1, but not the team who won back-to-back against the middle of the road teams. I don't get that. Like, we're gonna go on record now? Come on. You obviously did go on record when you put Bama at 2.
I kind of missed.
Why can't
I miss the BCS now? I miss the machines. At least they were unfeeling.
Don't weep at me with your crocodile tears.
Yeah. All right, and then my last one, the Miami Dolphins, because I've been hating Dolphins for quite a bit.
You're kind of hard right now, man. Like, I'm scared. I feel like that episode of Family Guy when Meg goes to prison and she comes back zero of who she was.
It's basically that. I've been a fan of this team since I was like 11 years old.
Majority of his life?
And with... Like, I think I'm finally frustrated. And I finally got Doug to also be frustrated with it, too. Because he told me he's not even going to watch the game this Sunday. And
Doug's a very optimistic guy, you know.
But for me, the whole Deshaun Watson thing, the whole thing with that allegedly, I don't know, the attorney for the women, and I don't know how you saw it, Charles, but
I already told you what I thought. I thought the guy was just kind of... I made arguments.
I know, we've talked about it before too, but he's saying that the Dolphins were asking for an NDA for all the women. Yep. And I'm like, and my disdain for the team has gotten so low these past 20 years now or so that I honestly could believe them doing that. Being desperate enough to do that. And I finally I'm relegated to the fact that I've always said this has been a love-hate relationship. I've been a pessimistic Dolphins fan, but at this point, I really fucking hate this team. And I'm actually I feel like someone who's finally realized who he really is. I'm a Dolphins hater.
We are really just on that whole. We're using the whole relationship schemes going on here. I love it.
I realize I'm a Miami Dolphins hater. I fucking hate this team, and I love seeing them be miserable.
Ray Finkel it out.
Yeah, I feel like that this is my purpose now is to hate the team. I got the I'm not gonna buy no more merch. I'm not gonna buy no t-shirts, no nothing at all.
Care about who they draft.
You know, actually no, because I need to care because in order to hate well, you do need to care, right? So I will still follow the team, but I will be hating on them until they get their shit together.
They're your baby daddy.
Yeah.
In that sense, I'm stuck with you for 18 years, but
yeah,
we're gonna be going from it. Like I have to care about what's happening in your life because I don't need my child to find you OD'd on something.
So I feel like that this is truly my purpose to hate the Miami Dolphins and to jump on several different bandwagons across the NFL.
What a terrible life you live. I must say.
Well, and the performance of the Dolphins is the reason why football is my fourth favorite sport. Like I genuinely, I love baseball and hockey.
And here's the problem: there was so much optimism last year from you too.
Oh yeah, and I think that's what finally, this season finally did it because
you told me the change.
I actually they gave I had not like joking hope. I had legitimate hope that this team had finally changed.
Follow Doug on Twitter, kids.
Yeah,
follow us on Twitter. FJOJR, Dan Frijoles, Charles the True.
Yeah.
Whatever Doug's thing is, I always forget.
D Solar with the soul, like a soul, like your real soul. And the Dolphins have destroyed my soul, and I feel like I need to come back as some sort of as a hater, a soulless hater right there. So
you're a Dementor, just eating up all the souls.
Yeah. So you're gonna lose out on this guy, on Deshaun Watson, and they're 1-7 right now, and I want it to get worse. I want the Philadelphia Eagles to have as high a draft pick as possible.
Could you just imagine how delicious that would be?
This was supposed to be what they said. It was like a 3-year rebuild, right? We're on year 3. And
wait, I've never seen it go backwards.
This is with all those draft picks, and that's why it finally did it this year. Like all the things that were supposed to line up, and like, oh, they're doing all the right things, and they completely fucked it up. And I'm like, this is it. This is the point.
They have literally, they don't want to say it, but they blame it on Tua. That's what I find highly amusing.
And that's
all on Tua.
Yeah, exactly. And I hate the Dolphins, and I feel sorry for Tua. I genuinely feel sorry for the man. Okay.
I don't think he's the guy, but I would say he was.
No, he's not the guy. He's not the guy. He's not out of the draft class that he was in. He's not going to be. He's an average quarterback if he's healthy, right?
Yeah.
He's an average quarterback. And you just have to have the right system around him in order to win, right? And, he had the same thing in college. So, all right. I'm just going to say it. I don't think Bama just won because of him. I think he could have put anybody in there.
He's the first Bama quarterback I know to lose.
Yeah. So you got that.
Jalen Hurts.
And then... And there was. I was gonna say something more that was also poignant, but whatever. Anyways, Miami Dolphins.
You're hurt.
Yeah.
You're hurt.
Oh no, but I finally am at peace with this now. I'm hurt, but at the same time, like this is better for me. This is better for me.
I feel bad for Tua and the fan base because they draft Jalen Waddle, don't know what to do with Jalen Waddle. Plain as day.
Yeah,
and Doug loves him some Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Very drenched when it comes to Jalen Waddle.
I don't even know what the hell they even drafted him for, but yeah.
And then they don't even go to get a running back at all, which is what Miles Gaskins not the guy. And they've known Miles Gaskins has never been the guy.
Of course not.
Ah, dang it.
I would have been happy with Adrian Peterson coming down here.
We'll talk about it. It's coming.
All right. Okay, and this was also recent goon, and I know... And I wanted to put this one in because I know you're going to love it. Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, inject it in my veins, please.
Actually,
Can I
don't,
say
because
I'm
you'll
right?
get sicker.
Well, no, I won't because if I inject in my
Oh no, the
veins, I'm actually going to
vaccine,
be
yeah.
protected. Yeah. This is the Aaron Rodgers medicine.
Here we go.
For the last 5 years, you and your essential oils as a fan base, fantasy football and casual viewership has, for lack of a better word, and I'm probably being listened to from people at work, I'm gonna say it anyway. Y'all have licked the nuts of this man. And he has told you that it is organic and whole food, but really it's a fat, sweaty man who did not clean after he wiped touching them nuts. Peanuts, not those kind of nuts. And I feel so revered because I don't care. I'm putting this
Yeah.
out there right now. I do not care if you, as a professional player, are vaccinated or not. I don't really care. And I know that sounds different considering the fact that we went on the Kyrie spree. The Kyrie spree was a different thing because there's actual consequences of it. We all know football. Football doesn't care because they have pushed games last year until like a Tuesday to make sure they would get their money. I really don't care. You guys think my hate boner for Aaron Rodgers is so excessive that I'm like in that corner every day, all day, every day? Not really. He does not live in my head rent free. He lives in my head when it's times like this where I feel super
knocking at the
vindicated.
door. Yeah.
And it's knocking at that door. And, opportunity knocks, and so does Charles being right about things. So here's the thing about sweet old Aaron. And that's why I was in the group chat with you guys when that particular text came out. And I was like, is this true? Because I didn't know. I literally didn't know. So Aaron Rodgers has COVID. We're going to start with that. And I hope he's okay. This whole thing is not saying, oh, he was COVID, haha. That is not that whatsoever in this conversation.
No.
This conversation is that
this has been something that's been built. It's been part of the narrative of Charles and the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah, fraudulent. And you know what part of you being fraudulent is being
it's much like a good wrestling story, right?
Yeah, being fraudulent is also viewed as inauthentic, fake, things like that. So I didn't know that he went and said to the people, "Oh yeah, I've been immunized." Why? Because I don't follow it like that. I'm not 21 anymore, man, where I have to know what every person's doing every single way they. But this man comes out as COVID positive. Everybody in the Packers has it. It's like, it's basically like the clap in the frat house at FSU's frat house. That's why I didn't go to FSU. So, well, if it was the Gators, it'd be a murder party. Ooh, dark for me. Yeah, it wasn't dark anyway. Everybody knows where everyone was running ship-wise over there. But so Devontae Adams had it, Kurt Bennicket had it, everybody has it, blah, 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 blah. And Aaron Rodgers ends up getting it. But the whole presumption was that he had led people to believe, and I don't like the media spin on players, I don't. But he had led people to believe that he was vaccinated. I saw a thing. He goes and he says, "I'm immunized." Like you person, you fraudulent, flagrant, lying mf'er. Oh, it's just a shaving bump, baby. Nothing to worry about. That's who you are. Because don't insult our intelligence. Yeah, you went to UCal, Berkeley, but you're not an astrophysicist. And they say he's a smart guy. You want this guy to host Jeopardy? What? You want that man to host Jeopardy? You want somebody who has class. You know who had class? Alex Trebek. You know who doesn't have class? Him. Because now he has it. And it was never a debate about personal choice or no personal choice or anything like that. It was just more or less that you didn't have it. And then I don't know how much to believe of the idea of the homeopathic remedies, but then he was petitioning the NFL to go to alternative treatments. You have alternative treatments? You know what? You're a man of science or something like that. Do you have your own little lab with Coach Jeff Van Gundy? Because I'm Hispanic, buddy. You want to know what my alternative treatment is? It's two things. It's either sana colita de rana if I don't go to a doctor, which literally translates to rat's tail, frog butt, all that stuff. Or I go find somebody on 8th Street who in that little farm area that has a couple of chickens hanging out.
Yep.
And one of those chickens ain't gonna be ate for dinner. That's the alternate medicine that my people and my culture would do if we didn't go see a doctor, we didn't go to science. So what you got, Aaron Rodgers from SoCal? So he goes up there and he strikes me.
Sprite.
Sprite. Oh yeah, McDonald's Sprite. Oh, hear it all. Because
It's like
now,
no, the South Park episode with the SARS.
yeah, there you go, there you go. Because what you strike me now as, you know what you strike me now as? Mentally soft. You don't want to flat out just tell people I'm not vaccinated. At least Cole Beasley and his dumb self was just kind of like putting the stances out there, and he stuck to his guns. He wasn't soft about it. Whether or not he's right or wrong is irrelevant, because at the end of the day, he's a grown man and he's employed by the Buffalo Bills, who, you know, is in part of the NFLPA, and they're not going to do anything to jeopardize. They'll just make exceptions because that's the safe catering that they have, unlike, you know, the NBA. But it seems to me Aaron Rodgers like, oh yeah, it's a comfort thing and it's a personal choice and all this other stuff, and I'm immunized. But really, he didn't want to be like, oh, I don't want to because it hurts my feelings. I don't think he wanted to deal with criticism. Why? Because what? I'm speculating right now, but I've earned this speculation, so I'm going to take it and I'm going to run with it, because he was the topic of all the criticism this offseason, was he not? Mm-hmm. That he didn't like anything that ever do. And for the people who loved him and revered him, he came across as what? Petulant and selfish in the eyes of others, myself included. So, a little soft boy gonna cry.
And then let's compare him to one of his peers that's also in the NFC, Tom Brady, who you know, did his thing. All right, I don't know what his stance is on that stuff, but he didn't lie. He didn't say I did a home out. And you know, Tom Brady's one of those guys.
And if he lied, he didn't get caught with it because he learned from the best liar, which is who? Robert Kraft.
Yeah. So,
not even Bill.
So now I gotta jump off. Like I gotta jump off this Packers bandwagon now, man. I was on it.
No. What, you want to know why? Because you ain't fraudulent.
You know, I gotta pop up. I gotta get out of there.
I love this because here's the thing. Your team,
and I'm much like you. Funny. I really don't give a shit who's whatever. But this
I care about liars.
This is funny to me, and this is gonna ruin my ability to celebrate a Super Bowl championship in the future. So I can't be with a team like this. If you guys, sheesh, it's like I can't. I need a legitimate team, so I got to move on. I'll move on. Packers. I'm done. Moving from the Panthers to the Packers. We're gonna go.
Yeah. I get leaving the Panthers real quickly. The one thing I'll say about Aaron Rodgers, and I guess I'll just leave it at this, is just that because you have now tested positive, aside from, you know, not showing any symptoms and we don't know what the residue is going to be and all this other stuff, it's the fact that you're going to be gone for a minimum of maybe 2 games, assuming that you don't suffer from any kind of symptoms from it. And what did I say about the NFL last week, or when we were talking about Lamar Jackson? It doesn't matter until someone dies of it. So what if the whole thing is he doesn't make it, man? Like something happens and he's just no bueno. Like what if those things, because testing positive, one thing, and there's been some people who have been successful and they've had no issues, and there's other people where it has not been good. But what if Aaron Rodgers literally just cannot function now? You know, what's going to happen there? And it's perspective, because if you're, and this is why the NFL has to be harder on it, because the idea, we all know why. Let's not delude ourselves. We all know why the whole policies were put into it. Money. You lose money. You lose money all between. And ownership needs to go and be like, hey, you know,
who the hell wants to watch a Packers game now with Aaron Rodgers in the game?
Well, this gives me a great opportunity to see Jordan Love. But at the end of the day, it's down to you're protecting.
Could Rodgers get farved?
Yeah, I love it. Far for the wrong reasons. But at the end of the day, it's called protecting investments, not just human lives, but investments. You know, it really comes down to that. But I don't know. This is just me to kind of revel in something.
That's the reason why I'm like, this is
shouldn't be reveling
way too juicy.
It was like the best thing, Charles.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, like everything else, I don't dislike the guy.
Right, but it's all part of the narrative that has been building up for the last 3 years.
I died. I didn't know where my guy was, but it has built up. It has built up because now I see you as that. At the end of the day, the takeaway I get from this is he's soft. Seriously, he probably just couldn't tell the media, I don't want a vaccine. Whereas here we are joking about Cole Beasley, but at the end of the day, Cole Beasley ain't going to lose sleep over us. But it makes me feel that certain somebody felt very sensitive, because the other question is, and this is terrible because it kind of goes back to the concept of media, and I think I've even said this in my own hypocrisy, is that we don't owe anybody explanations or anything. But it's literally like, but why would you state that, and I've been immunized, and, you know, you really haven't, because the last time I checked, there was only one official thing to combat COVID, and we're not counting because we're in Florida. The reversal thing, Revertron, or whatever the hell that DeSantis is trying to push on us as an alternative. That even though it costs you money when you get a free vaccine, so I don't understand. So is it because you want that beneficiary of medical receipts to get that, and not the government to get back in? I don't understand. People weird. Besides the point, it just kind of comes into it where, like, unless he's got the super duper, Sana de Rana, or he knows some good shaman. And the reason why I'm calling them shaman is because of the fact that there's too many to classify in the Hispanic hood up in this baby, is the fact that you're not sharing that, man. I mean, you went to California. I think some people there have some cool recipes, but I love it. I love it though. I don't feel vindicated. I just feel right.
Yeah. Okay. So that's it for that's all the goons. But it was pretty. Yeah, we had a lot. We had to talk about it. So here we go. And real quick, real MVP. Once again, Kyle Beach, real MVP to you for being brave and doing what you're doing to recount your story in front of people. Second one that I got here, I'm not going to harp on it too much, but Ernie Johnson. His son passed away, but his son was special needs and everything like that. His son died young too. I think it was like 33. And so, but Ernie, and there had been, I think there was like a ESPN 60 thing about him and all that stuff, of how he takes care of his son and everything. And of course, tribute and stuff with the guys on TNT.
And did they do something for him?
They talked about it, in during the show.
I would bust out crying
with Chuck and Shaq and Kenny. So they were there talking about that. And Ernie Johnson's been, because of this, a massive and great advocate for special needs children and everything like that. So that's really,
we love Ernie Johnson.
Oh no, on Twitter too. People were like, "I will not accept any."
There's no falsity.
I don't think any single NBA fan dislikes Ernie Johnson. So there you go. All right, so that's the real MVP, and I guess Andrew's not here, so not really much on college football. But we'll just pop into the NFL. We'll just go there. Let's do it. Let's do it. So, all right, Charles. We're not gonna get.
Go ahead. Start with it.
No. We gotta leave it. All right, fine. We'll start with.
No. You know what? Marinate it.
All right. Fine.
Do your thing.
Okay. So, NFL Week 8. The Chargers are frauds.
Big time frauds. That whole AFC West is fraudulent, though, so they're okay.
Yeah, really. They could win it, and it'd still be. God damn it. The Chiefs.
Nothing seems game plan at all.
Exactly.
In that division.
Yeah, exactly. The Saints gave up everything just to beat the Bucks.
God. That is a pure Tony Stark moment from Avenger that game.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah. Dude. Good on them for beating them, but at what cost?
Trevor Siemian is the cost.
At what cost?
And I told my buddy, he's a Saints fan, he hates Cam Newton. I'm like, you're going to get Cam. Because that Trevor Siemian train cannot last forever. I'm just perplexed that Cam doesn't have a job. But that's just me. But Trevor Siemian or Taysom Hill, who's still coming back from that concussion kind of thing, I'm like, ooh. That's why it's always good to have a backup to your backup. But, man, that's rough. And you don't have Michael Thomas either, because now he's out because there's been debates about ankle injuries. So he's like, we're just going to trade them. I'm like, go ahead, trade him. You'll get some value. But it's a shame because that defense is strong. Alvin Kamara is good. Whew.
Yeah. So there's that. I already mentioned the aforementioned Dolphins that I hate them. The New York Jets beat the Bengals.
Mike White beat the Bengals.
Yeah.
With Tyler Johnson beat the Bengals, too.
Yeah.
How does that feel, knowing that a second-round pick is a game changer? Because there was a certain second-round pick that just got traded away from the Broncos to the Rams in Von Miller, and he was a legacy and cornerstone. And you get Zach Wilson, who, on paper, looked bad every single game. And you can only be like, oh, he's a rookie. So long to me, gentlemen and ladies. And then you just get lost my train of thought. It's coming back to me. And then you just get Mike White from Western Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Just put up 400 yards, making that offense seem good. And maybe that Bengals defense just had a bad... I'll give Bengals defense has a bad day if they were given like 300 yards and they still
Yeah.
got the win. But here's the thing about Mike White.
AFC North
Um,
teams are definitely inconsistent enough to have like games like that. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, look, we lost to the Jets too, and I said no, I'm not concerned about it. I literally told you that. I'm like, that happens, but it's the style of performance where the man threw 2 picks. I was like, no, I'm just going to go win this, and he did. And I don't think people appreciate that kind of that grit. It was like, oh, it's just a pick. It was a pick in the first quarter. We're not done yet. Whereas Zach Wilson's like, I threw a pick. Oh no, I did a duty in my pants.
Yeah.
That's the vibe that you get with Zach Wilson. He does not look composed. How do we know them that Patriots game? Whew! Which one? The one where he threw all the picks. There was no strong vibe from it. So good for Mike White.
Yeah.
I hope he gets that. And then,
let's see what else.
They even had to hire John Beck, your former Dolphin.
Yeah.
To be on staff to help coach him better. What does that say? Where you gotta get a guy who's like, I can coach him, but I couldn't do anything in the NFL myself.
If you can't do it, teach, right? Okay. The Chiefs barely beat the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Is
it a Patrick Mahomes problem? Because you can listen, people throw picks all the time, but I'm not gonna put this whole blame on Patrick. One interception, one fumble. It's not like that's what caused you to like not get it. People are so silly with what they want to hate on.
Then we got the Cowboys beating the Vikings. So
Mike Zimmer beat the Vikings.
Yeah,
I watched that game.
Yeah, that was not a fun game to watch.
And my buddy texted me. He was like, "Cowboys still fake to you?" Because he's a Cowboys fan. I'm like, no. Like for some reason, every time there was a final minute in the game, Mike Zimmer's like, I'm not going to coach anymore. The bobble by Amari Cooper was beautiful, but that was a pick, and the defender couldn't even get that going fully. And Vikings are just not enjoyable to watch.
No, they're not. They're not. They're once again. We started the season. They're not a good team. So Seahawks beat the Jaguars, but whatever. That's
the hate train. The hate train. No one needs to lose them.
Panthers beat the Falcons. All right.
Barely. Poor Matt Ryan. Everybody wants you to trade away. Calvin really doesn't want to play anymore for whatever issues he has, and respect it, man. It's weird because my nosy ass is like, what's the mental health issues? But then at the end of the day, he's an adult. We don't need to go from there. And then poor Matt Ryan, though, his performance, you need something. Kyle Pitts is still a tight end at the end of the day, so he can't be the main wide receiver. In that sense, to help you win, because then you're going to fall into the Tony Gonzalez effect, where like you're going to be on a Chiefs team that never took you anywhere because you are really one position playing at another position. Understanding that, but they got really nobody else. They didn't prep for it. They were in salary cap hell, and then poor Matt Ryan gets his hand like stepped on, and people are like, "Oh, statistically speaking, that was the worst game of his career." I'm like, "Look at his hand! Like common sense tells you, like you can't." Go. Are you just?
I'm surprised
ignorant?
he's playing. I'm surprised he's playing. So it's not really worth it for me if I'm the Falcons.
Well, so that contract, baby.
I know, but still, try and squeeze some value out of it by not playing him.
By sending him to the Miami Dolphins.
I don't even know anymore. 49ers.
I mean, listen, I'll say it though. With that team, if you put Matt Ryan at that helm, imaginary world contract wise, not issue, and you just need a standard QB with those supposed weapons and a running back. I can get behind that.
Niners beat the Bears 33-22. Eagles beat the Lions.
For Jimmy G.
The Lions are awful.
How is this Jared Goff's fault? Because Dan Campbell literally called him out last week and says it's on him. He's got to do better. And I'm like, but how?
There's no way. There's just no way. It's not his fault. All right, he just
like name me 3 receivers on his team. I had to find out who they were.
I have no idea. Outside of Goff, I don't know who's on the Lions.
Quintus Cephas
and the only reason
Amon St. Brown, and Ross St. Brown.
The only reason I remember Dan Campbell, of course, was like his brief interim stint with the Dolphins. So yeah.
Any man who goes and says we'll bite you at the kneecaps is not somebody I want as a coach, because if I bite your kneecap, you're gonna knee me in my face. I'm gonna lose my teeth. I'm a man of like knowledge. When it comes to that,
doesn't make any logical sense to bite someone's kneecaps.
It's a meathead. It's a meathead answer. It's such a meathead.
Steelers beat the Browns 15-10.
Do you think Dan Campbell's favorite beer is Ice House beer? He strikes me as that guy.
Steelers beat the Browns 15-10.
What a shit show the Browns are.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
OBJ,
It's like every year. Last year I liked them. This year I don't care.
You got OBJ's dad tweeting, sending Instagram videos.
Is he wrong?
I guess not, but
because there's a lot of Baker Mayfield supporters, and we weren't like he's made that franchise relevant because they have not had quarterbacks.
Right.
However, like remember they had the softest system last year with like we have not one but two starting running backs and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to make sure Baker doesn't have to throw. Food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. Exhibit A.
Yeah. Let's see. Next is what else we had here? Yeah, we had the Thursday night football game, of course.
Oh, wait, we heard that.
Kyler
Murray is a fraudulent. Yeah. It made me feel good.
Yeah. So there's that.
This is just me being right about everything.
Oh, yeah.
It came at a cost.
It came at a cost, Charles, and we're gonna get to it. The Rams beat the Texans, so the Rams are looking good. So there you go. And all right, we're here, Charles. We're here.
I'm gonna let you do the intro, and then
so
you know what's coming.
Well, the episode of this is titled "The Henry Footy," because
Peterson pulley, but
no, we got the PD pulley coming soon. So coming soon.
Andrew, we miss you, but sometimes,
oh God,
sometimes we go off the rails.
I had to. All right, Charles, your beloved Titans, and a game that honestly shouldn't have been like this, but go to overtime, right? 34-31 against the Indianapolis Colts, who have some fight in them. I will say that the Colts have had some fight in them this season, right? Right? They haven't really been like laying down to any of their opponents. But Charles, this came at a huge cost. We're not gonna have any more Henry Handies. It's done. It's over. It's over. The MVP like this, and I feel you, man. I feel you because this happened. Aaron Ekblad for the Panthers last season looked like he was going to win the Norris Trophy, best defensive player in the NHL. Breaks his leg. Panthers were on. I mean, he was transcendent as a defenseman that season, and he's gone. So I honestly feel you, man. I feel you.
You're all I ever wanted. You're all I ever needed, yeah. So Derek, tell me what to do now, cause I want you back. As sung by the great NSYNC, led by Justin Timberlake, who used to date Britney Spears, now married to Jessica Biel. That's how I felt with what happened on Sunday. And I knew it was going to be at a cost, Francisco. We knew it was going to happen. And every time I look at Derrick Henry, I feel like the Wolverine meme where he has the portrait there.
Yeah, yes.
And I'm singing, baby, come back. You could put the blame on me. I was fool. Something. The rest of the song that comes in, I still think the
I was wrong.
Very proverbial.
And I just can't live without you.
Can't live without you, baby. Baby, come back. So the expectation is 6 to 10 weeks. So it's possible that AFC South division is trash. We are going to win that division. We are 6-1. We are the best team in the AFC. That's the irony of it. Mike Vrabel just plays winning football or coaches winning football. He doesn't have a stellar offense. The defense comes and goes. Carson Wentz won us that game. All the same, that hurt like a bitch. And we knew it was happening. And you didn't hear my live reaction. I just accepted it. I was like, all right. Yeah. Because what else could have happened? Our nice shiny toy Julio Jones, not available, obviously. Everything else that comes in. So we're on a different mindset. We're on that new-ish that has to come in because I'd rather have Todd Gurley, to be honest with you, than Adrian Peterson. And for obvious reasons is the fact that there's no burst and explosion because with Todd Gurley, I know he can do one thing. I know he can get on that goal line. You give him on the first down, he's going to run that ball in. Oh, no.
That's true.
With Peterson, I really don't know. And Jeremy McNichols.
He's older, too.
Is sparingly used. Yeah. And Darrynton Evans, who was our second-round pick last year, has not played a game with us because he's always hurt.
No, you need outside help. You need outside help for this one. You can't
and we still might. get him. And people were like, "Oh, I'm surprised they didn't trade for anybody." Well, Marlon Mack wasn't coming to us. There was no way the Colts were going to give him to us. Get out of here. There was like not going to happen. And what am I going to do? Trade for the Baltimore Ravens running backs who are just equally as bad? They're running Devontae Freeman. They're running Le'Veon Bell. All barely. Why am I going to just go to Dollar Tree and try to expect I'm going to get Dom Perrier? It's going to get Dollar Tree stuff. I can get the Adrian Peterson signing for one very valid reason. He's a north-south guy. We need a north-south guy. Our offense is going to shift. It's going to change. That's how it has to go. Okay, that's fine. I accept that. A.J. Brown's coming along, and if we could just get Julio Jones on the field, I'd be very happy. Now, mind you, I did say that Julio was not going to play all 17 games this season. You know this. So this is where it matters. This is where it's important. Let the defense come together. And hear me out. 6 to 10 weeks, if he's good on week 9, we're not going to get the number 1 seed. That was never projected. But if
you honestly didn't expect number 1, to be honest.
Yeah.
Your expectations were actually pretty tempered when we started the season.
Week 1. But if we get to the first week of the playoffs, if we get there, and he's available, you call him. Because do you want to play our team in the postseason? We don't lose. You take away the Jets loss, which we almost came back and won. It's a perfect record. We find ways to win. You wanted to say the Buffalo Bills win was a fluke, but they barely beat Miami. And what has Charles been saying since the start of the season? He ain't scared of Buffalo. Take every win. The problem is with the media and fan bases that are not my fan base.
I look at the Bills, and I just want to say this. I look at the Bills, and it's a good team, but I can't see them winning a Super Bowl right now. I don't think they're gonna beat anybody out from the NFC. Like if let's say you put them against the Cowboys, I don't think they beat the Cowboys. But
no, which I would take that just for the ramifications of history.
Day of the week. That's true.
Any day of the week, any day of the week. But the Bills, you know what you're getting. It's a prototypical team, but their weaknesses are glaring. It's just you've been sold on the idea of the presumptive.
Yeah, they're in
Kansas City.
Too, so.
Yeah, Kansas City, I think could get it together, honestly. But I think that about any team that it's not like they're Kansas City's not the Dolphins, who's 1-7.
Yeah, but Kansas City is one of those teams that's like, and it might be like the fact that they've been in the playoffs so many years and it's wearing on their bodies as a unit. That could be a thing. Championship, well, not a championship law, but the Super Bowl law, because they were in there last year, and all of a sudden it might be just that too, or it might just be like it's like what
players actually suck.
Yeah, I mean that, or it's just they feel like they could turn it on, but can they turn it on in time? Right?
Yeah.
Because you can try and get the engine revved up, but are you going to get it revved up on time, or is is the getaway car ready to go, right? Or are you gonna get shot? So that's how it's gonna go.
I'm surprised we did not make that sexual. I'm proud of you.
Oh,
but am I concerned? Sure. Do I accept it? Yeah. Am I freaking out? No, because at the end of the day, the reason why we got the Julio Jones, if you've been keeping note and paying attention, was because we said we need somebody that's going to win us the game. Derrick Henry keeps you in the game, but at some point, if there is the shootout, if there is all that stuff that comes in, what I'm saying is that we constructed an offense that needed to be there all bases, because what are we trying to do? We're trying to evolve. That's what it is. Look at the paper. Mm-hmm. Think about it. What if we were truly just going to be this running based team like the Seattle Sea Frauds, who really just on the nose are not built for it. They're a very similar team. We're going to be a running team, and then they lose Chris Carson, and they're just atrocious with Rashad Penny, Travis Homer, and Don't Kill Me, and the other guys that they have in there. Alex Collins, I believe, is their lead back to it. So there's some things that are not functionally working. But for us, we're just like, no, we're going to try to evolve. We believe that we love Derrick. He's a fantastic player. We love Derrick Henry. Charles loves Derrick Henry. We named you a segment onto it. However, what's Charles doing and what the Times are doing is say, all right, but we can't do it just on him alone. That's the reason why we went out for Julio, did we not? That's why we saw in Josh Reynolds, who hasn't done anything. That's why we're letting and Hiles Westbrook do some stuff, because we're recognizing what is truly needed, I would say, for victory. Can we get it done? I don't know. Tannehill hasn't played exceptionally well, but can Tannehill just play what he needs to play? Can he be just what he needs to be?
We'll see. We'll see. This is a moment to actually prove that he's not Miami Dolphins Ryan Tannehill. You know?
Yeah.
There we go. But he's got a better team around him anyways. So.
Yeah. You don't win the game by running 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's an anomaly. It's just the guy's impressive. The biggest damper is that I truly believe this was a season to acknowledge the fact that he was MVP.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There was nobody else on that field that convinced me otherwise, and you know that.
Yeah. Okay, Charles. So that's NFL, and I want to just a quick NHL stuff. There's the Jack Eichel out in Buffalo. He's unhappy. He hasn't been playing with them. There's trade rumors right now. Kevin Weeks just saying that the Flames are the front runners to get him, so he might be popping out to Calgary. So we'll see how that turns out. But as of right now, it's going to be a whole thing. I don't know if they'll finally pull the trigger, finally get him out of there. So we'll see. So that's the Buffalo Sabres. As other NHL talk, aside from that, I just have the 3 stars from the past week. Got Jacob Markstrom out in Calgary as well. With he was the first number 1 star for the past week. Saved 93 out of 94 shots for a .989 save percentage. He was almost perfect for 3 games. He went 3-0, 2 shutouts, a .03 like .33 goals against average. Like he only allowed 1 damn goal in a week. So there's that. Drake Batherson out in Ottawa got a hat trick, and then 2 assists in a different game. So for the Ottawa Senators, then Alex Killorn out in Tampa, left winger, 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points over the last week. So there you go. And I forgot to mention the NBA Players of the Week. We had Rudy Gobert out in Utah.
Yeah.
So Rudy Gobert for the Western Conference, and he they went 3-1. The Jazz 16.3 points per game, 15.5 rebounds per game, because you know he's gonna get his rebounds, 77% from the field. And then my man Crush Monday every day, Jimmy Butler, Player of the Week for the Miami Heat.
To quote Jeremy Taché, Jim VP.
Yeah. He went 4-0, right? Jimmy, 28 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, 5.3 assists per game. I love that man. I love him. I love him so much. Okay.
He's all you ever wanted. He's all you ever needed.
And like I said, it's not even purely sexual. I honestly feel like we could make a really great couple. So there you go. Anyways, Charles, what makes a really great couple is you in the cage, right?
Ooh, it's gonna be a short cage too. Welcome everybody to your weekly Trueplex, The Cage with Charles. Full disclaimer: wrestling is not fake. It is scripted. It is a stage fight. It is a song and dance. It is a merit of championships, chasing championship, men and women trying to establish their legacy, beat the holy hell out of each other, and sometimes wrestling is at a rest point. That's where I feel that we would be at this juncture, at this moment, Francisco, and anybody else who's listening, because WWE-wise, we're building up to Survivor Series. AEW-wise, we're building up to Full Gear. Full Gear is next week, 10 days from now, November 13th. So we're going to save that to make an all AEW segment, I would feel works out. With New Japan, with Impact, there's not a lot of kind of going on, and right now we're in kind of like that whole quiet phase. So it's like, okay,
Charles, you'll be proud of me. I watched a bunch of Kota Ibushi highlights.
Oh, I love me some Kota. He just wants to die for us, though. That's the problem.
That's what I was saying. I'm like, this is scary.
New Japan, they go hard.
Yeah. Man. Well, I mean, it's part of the majesty of the athleticism, for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
man,
I mean, the guy is physically in shape.
Oh no, he's
beyond belief.
Oh yeah, no, he's a literal anime character brought to life.
and he has some talent, and then that injury that he took really hurt him in the G1 climax. Not that I think he would have been the guy who won it all. I think Okada still would have gotten it, but it's just such a darn shame when people get injured and they kind of lose that effect that comes into it. But Kota's good. Him and Zack Sabre usually put on a show anytime they go against each other. Same thing with him and my boy. Hold
Yeah.
on.
And I read something that he could actually, like, you could put him in like any sort of situation. You'd find a way to make it
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, he could do cruiserweights. He could do everything like that. He could do technical wrestling. He could do high offense. He could do just kind of like that beat the hell out of each other kind of thing. Oh my God, why is this guy's name blanking on me? It really shouldn't be the one from Los Ingobernables de Japón that I love so much. Tetsuya Naito. Wow, but him and Naito, they have some highlights that are just banging. But Kota, we like Kota. Kota is hurt, so I guess we'll just go with the New Japan stuff. Zack Sabre and Shingo Takagi are going to go against each other at Power Struggle. After that, I believe Okada is going to be defending his G1 Climax briefcase against Tonga Lao, or is it Tama Tonga? That's usually getting your guaranteed shot. Nothing a lot going on there. They're still kind of doing their own gig, so I won't spend too much time on them. Impact Digital Media Championship, we already kind of talked about it. We know Moose and Josh Alexander are kind of feuding. They're going to build into that. That's going to be an awesome feud. I hope to come into it, but nothing too crazy about Impact. Ring of Honor. Actually, I should start with this. We sparingly talk about Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor, I feel, has been the organization that has suffered the most with the pandemic, like terribly with the pandemic. And so Ring of Honor announced that they are going to go through an entire reshuffle. They're going to release all the people whose contracts expire by January. Actually, if they are going to have their contract expire by January, they're already free agents. They're going to take a pause after their pay-per-view and then come back in the second quarter in April of 2022. And they're also going to release other people as well. And this is an interesting demographic to
So
me, or dynamic
it's
to
almost
me.
like a hard reset.
It's a super hard reset.
Wow.
And it's not like WCW 2.0 and Vince Russo coming in there. It's basically them saying we can't logistically survive and we have to see where the money's coming from. And some people have hard feelings on it. A lot of people want to compare it to WWE, or WWE had money and they didn't release anybody, or they released people, but they weren't like substantially losing money. But this is the consequences of COVID. This is the consequences of the pandemic. This is the consequences too, not having maybe a strong streaming demographic or network base such as TNT or USA or Fox. And it also goes to show that it creates a two-way issue. One, there's people without jobs. Two, there's going to be some buyers out there. But what if the buyers don't want to buy? Players only love it when you're playing, right? As Fleetwood Mac said. What does this impact with who could sign where if the money is not there? AEW can't sign off everybody. They got a lot of WWE cast-offs they got to go with. WWE doesn't want to sign necessarily everybody if they're looking to build in new future stars. And the people that were released were like Shane Gresham and Jay Lethal, who they have a couple of, treads on those tires long in the tooth situations. What do you do about the championships? Is it everything's going to come back and no one's the champion and you're just going to have it as a free-for-all? It's very sad. It's very disappointing. And it's one of those things where you expected it to happen anyway. AEW is playing with a lot of big daddy money and TNT, and then WWE was always going to be fine, in my opinion, when the pandemic started. But this is what almost 2 years leads us to. So there's going to be a lot of free agents out there. And the problem is, man, to go when you're having like a consistent contract and then now you're a full independent wrestler, what's your fallback option? What's your liability? I mean, wrestling is hard to get insurance anyway to begin with, but now you're not going to get your contractual stuff. And what they're saying is we're not severing you and then giving you severance pay. We're just releasing you now, and then everybody else who has contracts will be good at that point. It's basically saying, they're saying you want to go. If you want to leave. I ain't going to chase you. Are they going to bring people back? Maybe. There's some wrestlers who are still green that they're not going to come back. And then the question is that what does a relaunch look like? Are you actually going to try something different? Probably to get the appeal of networks? Or are you just going to let it be? I don't know. But they even put all the Ring of Honor library tapes on there.
Like, from the very little... The Ring of Honor usually pops up, like, after like the baseball game on Bally Sports or something like that, right? You know.
I think they're on Axis. No, Impact's on Axis, and then Ring of Honor's like on another one, but it's on the
Yeah.
streaming services.
Aren't
But
they like
you
on Roku or
need
something? Maybe.
no, that's New Japan.
Oh, that's New Japan. Whoops.
And New Japan even suffered a little bit too because a lot of their wrestlers are international based, so you're not even getting that as well. And I felt that some of the organizations that handled off the talent was there to sustain each other, but Ring of Honor didn't hand off any talent to it. The only thing they got going on now is the Briscoe brothers defending or winning the GCW Game Changer Wrestling Tag Team Champions. And Charles doesn't like GCW because I'm not a deathmatch guy. I'll say it right now. For those who like it, that's your cup of tea. Okay, that's fine. Some people like their steaks well done instead of the proper way of rare, but that's your decisions. But yeah, so that's kind of concerning because it makes you wonder how Impact still stays around, but they have Anthem money, and Ring of Honor I think is owned by Sinclair Broadcasting, so that's some money too. But when you have these television organizations out there, it's going to be very tough to accumulate everything that you need. That's just the way the world goes. AEW, lightly talk on it because we're going to have really more of an AEW show next week, but you're building into Full Gear. Highlight match is going to be Kenny Omega defending the AEW World Championship against Hangman Adam Page. They dressed up at Ghostbusters at last week's Dynamite. I thought that stuff was hysterical because wrestling should be serious, a fight, a comedy, a soap opera, and amusing. But the one thing wrestling always needs to be, it needs to be something that you appreciate. And I appreciate those goofy elite, that is the Young Bucks, Adam Cole, Bebe, and Kenny Omega dressing up as the Ghostbusters, and Adam Hangman Page being Stay Puft. And I watched Ghostbusters over the weekend on Halloween, so it was more appropriate onto it. Tag team titles, we'll discuss more when that comes up. They haven't fully set out the card. They're doing the TBS Eliminator Tournament. They're doing the TNT Eliminator Tournament. And I went back and forth on it because Dynamite is tonight. It is on Wednesday. It's going now. So I'm just going to touch on point to it. Jon Moxley entering in-house patient for alcohol addiction, alcoholism, whatever you want to call it. I like Moxley. I was liking where he was going in AEW because it seemed as if he was going to go to being a heel. Something's happened. Life happens. Tony Khan just kind of announced it out of nowhere on Twitter. He said he got it with permission. They're going to address it. They're going to know who his replacement is for the tournament because it was going to lead to him versus Brian Danielson. It's still weird for me to say it 2 months later. Brian Danielson to appear at that finals, my guess. And now things kind of change and go from there. All I could say with respect to being fairness, because wrestling's weird, man, and I'm looking into some stuff and I talked to you about it. And reading into it because Twitter was fine. And then what we saw was I went onto the wrestling boards and everybody is either a critic, a doctor, or they're basically a preacher. And I can just say, best of luck, Mox, go from there. It's been a weird couple of days. So it's kind of like damp, and that's with the sports world from him. Like, oh, Derrick Henry's hurt. Aaron Boone's still my manager. This is terrible. And now Moxley's going to go and, deal with his life, but best of luck to him. I was going back and forth if I was going to address it, but it is something big. I feel it also goes to show that these people are entertainers and are human beings. And it's one of the things I would tell social media is just stop being a dick. Let people be things, but quit being a dick every now and then.
Yeah.
WWE. It's a slow reset, man. That's what it feels like with the WWE draft. I have watched Raw. I didn't watch Raw on Monday because I decided to play Deathloop. We'll see if Charles likes that or not. 3 hours into it, I kind of like it. I like it a lot. I'm not going to say that I love it, but I think I love it. Arcane Studios has to earn my trust back after that terrible game parade. But you're building on the storylines. Interesting note, Roman Reigns was not on SmackDown last week, and they still pulled in, I believe, 1 million viewers on FS1 because remember, it was preempted because of the World Series. So good on them. They don't really have anything going on for SmackDown that I've been invested in. Raw is more or less about Big E and Seth Rollins, and maybe a little bit of Kevin Owens has been introduced there. The drama with Charlotte and Becky, I think I talked about it lightly last week. No, I didn't because it was Friday. So basically what they were deciding to do with the women's titles was to just change them over. And then I guess there was a miscommunication between Charlotte and Becky, and they just started talking smack in real life. And I was like, holy crap, this is great. And, there's a lot of people who think they know everything bashing in and going from there. But wrestling itself, the wrestling hasn't been bad. They had Finn Balor versus Chad Gable on Monday. And I was like, holy crap, that's some quality wrestling. It's just I don't have stories that are being brought in. Now we're doing Big E versus Seth, and I still feel that's too soon because it makes me feel like Seth's not going to win. I think Seth should be the guy who takes off of Big E, but everything's going to be building up to Survivor Series later in the month. What Survivor Series? The two brands going against each other. Are they going to have titles defended, or is it going to be champion versus champion in basically an exhibition spot? You see, I can go all for Big E and Roman, but the problem is someone's got to win. Unless you're just going to do a cop-out and just have, someone interfere like they always do in a Roman match. Or what are you going to do with the women's now that Becky and Charlotte have some real-life brief? Are any of them even going to be champions at that point? We know that Big E and we know that Roman are going to be safe, but who's to say that Becky and Charlotte are going to still hold on to their titles? Becky defended the title on Raw against Bianca Belair. She needed to win, and now we have Liv Morgan who's going to be going against her. Are we going to do anything with the King of Ring or the Queen Crown or the Queen of the Ring, whatever they want to call it now? Are we going to give them a substantial push? Are we going to do something for Xavier who's on SmackDown? Are we going to find a way to loop him into the main event? I'm not crazy about it because I always thought the King of the Ring was better for a mid-card dominancy. Considering the fact that everybody who got it as King of the Ring propelled themselves to becoming a world champion. Steve Austin, Triple H, a few other people coming there, but they went through the basis of going through the mid-card. Curious to see what happens. I'd be happy for Zelina Vega to do something. I just need the four horsewomen that consist of Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Bayley to just not hold the titles for a bit. You have a massive roster of women that can perform, that can go. See what they can do with the belt. You don't have a storyline for them, that's fine. Let the storyline write itself. You can figure out, once you put a title on somebody, how to approach it. Do they make him heel? Do they make him face? They did have Shotzi Blackheart turn heel, beat up Sasha Banks. I can get behind it because what SmackDown, I feel Raw has been lacking when it comes to the women's wrestling is secondary storylines outside the title. I said to you a couple weeks ago, write me a storyline that doesn't involve a championship. It's harder than you think. But right now, I'm still the meh thing. I didn't watch Raw. I probably won't watch Raw for like another 3 weeks because let me go to the gym, let me take the opportunity to play video games, but then it'll build more to it. But if you had to say what's the cage match to it, it's a house show cage match, meaning I'm not going to have to go hardcore for the cage. It's still there. I still acknowledge you, but we're going to go through on the beats. And I feel like I'm probably missing one more thing, so let me just go through my cage notes. That's right, kids. I go on notes. I check some things out before I make that full out determination if I'm sick of everything. Kyle O'Reilly might be leaving WWE. I wouldn't be surprised. Kyle O'Reilly was part of Undisputed Era feuding with Adam Cole. Adam Cole left. Kyle O'Reilly's contracts can go up. He's not going to want to probably be part of NXT 2.0. Maybe he'll go over to AEW. But this is the problem too, is that is the grass always green on the other side? When you're a free agent, what are you looking for opportunity-wise as a wrestler? To be on the shows more? To be on TV more? To win championships? Establish your name? I'm curious to see what everybody wants because it might be different than what everybody else needs. Kalisto just appeared on AEW Dynamite. He's now Samurai del Sol, but that's who he was in the Indies. We like Kalisto. He's a good guy. We're Samurai del Sol. We like him. Listen, it's tough for me to learn new names when you're this name for so long, so give me a chance, I promise you. But I'm interested. The one other thing I will tell you is that AEW and Impact's working relationship, Francisco, is now over. So we are going to see what everybody can do on their own separate organization, hopefully, going from there. So that's all I got for you this week on the cage.
All right. Okay, man. Let's close it out. So that's it. I think we covered pretty much the gamut of everything. So that's it for us, guys. 120. We'll see you guys next week for 121. Have a good night, good evening, good afternoon, whatever. Bye-bye.
Take care.